The time is now. It has been a very long time coming, and welcome to There Is Another, the end of Star Wars Galaxies. I'm Jeff Gerstmann, here couch-bound, laying out, and of course, manning the game this time around, Ryan Davis. Ryan, how's it going?
Pretty good, Jeff. Kicking it here on the couch and ready to play some damn Star Wars Galaxies. The people running the game have kicked off a lot of bizarre kind of end-of-world events starting last night around 9 p.m. Pacific time. They ended the Galactic Civil War, chose winners for all of the servers. We're on the Starsider server. If you happen to be a Star Wars Galaxies active player and you've got an account that's currently running, come join us. Come hang out with us and run around the world, and we're going to do some dumb stuff over the next 5 hours or so.
Cool. So what can you tell me about how much of Galaxies you've played? Where are you at?
See, I've got...
what is this game, outside of the crazy events,
what
does this game mean to you?
This is an MMO RPG. Now, that stands for Massively Multiplayer Online Role-Playing Game.
Now, what does that mean? What is this role?
You play the role of a character. You make up a character. You have a fantasy avatar. Did you see the movie Avatar?
I did not.
It's like that.
Okay.
It's basically like that. Did you ever see the movie Clue?
I did. Yeah.
It's like that.
Well,
also.
okay. Well, I watched the VCR Clue tape once, start to finish. Does that count?
Yeah, absolutely. That's it.
All right.
Wait, was it the first or the second VCR Clue?
The first one, and then I watched like half of the second, and then kind of lost.
You're fine. You're fine.
Yeah,
You're fine.
okay.
You're fine.
Great.
You're fine.
Great,
You've got it.
Great.
You know,
Great.
it's this is an 8-year-old MMO at this point, and it's gone through seemingly a huge number of changes over the years. They've revamped the hell out of it, I think, on more than one occasion, and that has left us with a game that has clearly been like. Preparing for the end of this game has been really my only direct exposure to Star Wars Galaxies.
Right.
I understand it was an extremely different game when it first launched. What it feels like now is very much kind of World of Warcraft reactive. It hits a lot of very common MMO kind of just beats, as it were.
Yeah, well, that was the big controversial thing about this game, is it started out kind of as one thing, and then, you know, as that wasn't really taking off and doing well, they rolled out a very big and controversial patch that changed kind of the very nature of the game to
now
more
we've
like
got
what it is now.
Now we've got Star Wars Old Republic is launching soon, I'm told, in theory. So they're shutting down, after 8 years running, they're shutting down Star Wars Galaxies. So we're going to...
And you're going to be there to see the end. Why don't you tell me a little bit about your character?
All right,
Our window into Star Wars Galaxies.
So this is my level 9 Rhodian smuggler. This is Emilian Voices. We are on, like I said, we are on the Starsider server here.
Is that Ecuadorian? What is that?
What's that?
French Ecuadorian?
Yeah, French Ecuadorian. That's pretty much... I mean, if you want to be racist about it, yeah, that's
just trying to source the name.
You can tell I am a smuggler because I'm wearing Han Solo's clothes.
You smuggled Han Solo's clothes off his body?
I guess so.
And put them onto this Greedo-looking dude?
When you choose the smuggler class, it's pretty much one of the first things you do is meet Han Solo.
Great.
So.
And he says, "Here, take these pants."
I'm gonna log in. Let's get this party started. What do you say?
Okay.
It seems like they have been throwing around the character transfers pretty fast and furious lately here. So if you're not on Starsider and you want to join us, you probably shouldn't be that hard for you to get over here. We're on Tatooine, which is kind of one of the starting. It's not quite a starting area, but it's pretty much like the first real locations that you get to.
The first kind of hub you get to?
Yeah.
Everything
first
goes off there?
big hub, or at least first big hub that I got to. I don't know what the starting areas look like for other classes or races. I'm not sure exactly how they divvy that up. But I have received, I haven't cashed this in yet, I received the 90-day veteran reward, which I might as well cash in now because it's not going to do me much damn good after this. Star Wars Galaxies trial account.
Ooh.
I probably don't want that. Oh, I think I may have accidentally selected it anyway. All right, hold on. What do we have here? Let's look at some of the stuff we have here. Bodyguard jacket, Dooku bust.
Ooh.
Glass display case, Gorax ear. Let's see here, guys. The Sith, Gungan vendor, house cleaning kit. So they still have some of that crazy stuff in here. Like, that was one of the things of Star Wars Galaxies early on, was that you could buy property and have a house.
Right, and you kind of had to defend it, right? That's...
I guess. I don't know. I never saw any of that stuff. But some of that stuff still remains. Oh, here we go. Let me get this pod racer, because currently my my speeder is not great. Oh, I've earned a bunch of these rewards. Might as well cash them in.
Maybe they just gave everybody everything.
Maybe, but you still have to select each thing. Sith Speeder, I'll take that.
It's kind of been the interesting thing about the Matrix and now this to some extent is kind of, you know, they're not going to go out of their way to develop like elegant ways to do crazy stuff. So they're just going to kind of flip a bunch of switches and do a bunch of sort of janky stuff to just give you things and let you mess around. And
that's absolutely been my experience with Galaxies so far. Has been, you know, like I think it was like a day or two ago they rolled out atmospheric flight, and what that means is that it used to be that they had space flight, so it was separate from kind of the ground game. You would go to a starport, you'd load it up, and you'd be in space,
right?
You know, above the planet. There was no like transitions between one and the other. As either you were on the ground, and you had ground speeders, you know, kind of basically mounts, as it were. Or you were in space. So they, like 2 days ago, like right before this thing's gonna shut down, they decided to patch in the ability to fly around in the active ground environment, which is crazy because it doesn't work very well. You can see why they wouldn't have you know, rolled this out, launched this in a proper game that people paid money for.
Right.
But
as a you know, kind of a fun farewell sort of thing, why not? Why not make it crazy?
What else? I'm gonna choose. Let's see, one more thing over here. Okay. One more pod racer. And then I'm going to save the rest of these for later. Yeah, remind me. Oh, okay, Pasquale is here. If you joined us for the end of the Matrix Online, you may remember him. He was our companion during that, and he has joined us for the end of Star Wars Galaxies as well.
Great, why don't you jump into that pod racer?
Oh, and he's hanging out with none other than GameSpot's Justy Covert, or Justin Calvert, as you may better know him. Let's see, I'm not ready for this transfer. Remind me later. I'm kind of out in the middle of nowhere right now.
I see a lot of sand.
It's an ATXT.
Can you fight that thing?
No, I don't think so.
All right.
But this is Tatooine. Let me see if I can what I can pull up here. Planet map. So let's go ahead and stretch this out a little bit. Just see a little more. So this is pretty much where you can go on Tatooine, and it seems like this is where most of the people are. Is around this area. I am way up here right now, but I want to go down this point of interest, the Great Pit of Carkoon. It is a friggin' party down there, Jeff.
Let's party.
So we're gonna head down there. I'm gonna set a waypoint, and then let's see here. I think it's in my data pad. Oh, I thought I had.
No pod racer?
Yeah, let's see here.
Take your spaceship.
That'd be in my inventory. Oh, here we go. There we go.
All right.
There's my pod racer. There we go. So we're gonna head over to the Sarlacc pit of Carkoon, because it is a jam over there. As of 9 p.m. last night, Jabba the Hutt is kicking it over there with
the Jabba the Hutt.
The Jabba the Hutt, and he's hanging out with Boba Fett and Bib Fortuna and the Max Rebo band. So Cy Snoodles is there, and the Pig Man, I forget his name.
Those guys all have names?
Those guys all totally have names. Cy Snoodles was the singer.
Okay.
Intern Perry is here.
He is. Yeah. He's manning some chat over there.
Yeah, I am.
How's that working out for you, man?
It's pretty good. A lot of people are wanting to know about the robust dance options that this game features.
Man, you know what? It's something we'll have to explore, because there are some crazy-ass social commands that you can perform in this game.
All right.
Honestly, I'm kind of uninterested in the combat in this game, because what I've seen of it is very generic, very boring. Like you see, I've got my little command bar at the bottom there.
Yeah, you got your hot bar, you got your attack dudes, you got your...
I can shoot dudes, I've got some melee stuff, and I'm sure it could be more interesting.
Buff some dudes, debuff some dudes.
But...
Buff dudes, man.
And we may go and visit. They've launched like 3 big events for the end of the world here. One of them being the Battle of Endor, so you can basically go and do a PvP encounter against... here we go. I'm gonna approach this. I'm gonna get out of my pod racer and...
Whoa. That was a pretty inspired action you pulled right there, getting out of that pod racer.
And I made it disappear. So we're coming up on a bit of carcoon.
So
It's already awesome from out here. So they're setting off these fireworks. This is part of the faction celebration. Since the rebels won here, we've got rebel ships up in the sky and we've got fireworks going off. We're coming out here to the Pit of Carcoon where they've set up, basically Jabba the Hutt has set up a big old party out here.
those guys look like they're really close, but it's taking you a long time to run over to them.
Well, let me get over here. You can see there's a crazy TIE fighter. That's someone's ship. Let's come on over here and say what's up with Boba Fett. Hey, Boba Fett. How come you're so goddamn big?
That guy's big! Why is that guy so big?
That guy's pretty big, too.
Why is that guy so big?
Listen, this guy's been around here for
ripping
a
it
while,
up.
too. That guy's not very big at all. Boring sized. There's a giant man. I mean, just for scale here. There's a bantha.
Okay.
And there's the dude. Banthas are pretty big.
Yeah, they look pretty big. I mean, just for scale, you're a dude, and then there are these other dudes.
Yeah, for scale, I'm a dude. Here, there's Jabba the Hutt. And
Okay,
there's
yeah,
me.
for scale, Jabba the Hutt. You can talk to Jabba the Hutt. What's he have to say for himself?
He just says, "Hey, what's up? Don't disturb the bounty hunter."
Yeah, you should try disturbing the bounty hunter.
You know what? I will, but it's super good advice, and I'll show you why.
All right. What?
Hey, wait.
Is it because people are fighting that all that inspired action and fury is popping off?
I have
or is that
no
just kind
idea
of
what any of
more
that means.
things that they
I have no idea what
have
any of that
inserted?
means. That just started happening.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know why. So if you're
That guy's
wondering
big.
why there are crazy giants all over the goddamn place, they've just decided,
You know,
fuck it.
the thought had crossed my mind, like, hey, why are all these giant dudes all over the place?
Because Bib Fortuna is over here, and he will resize it if you so like.
Yes.
And I say, sure. They don't even bother, like, explaining it. It's just, make me bigger.
Yeah, man.
You know what? Oh no, I want to be bigger.
Bigger. Bigger.
No, I'm really small.
Oh, it's the opposite of what we wanted. Is it just like a dice
There we
bit?
go.
Oh, yeah. Dude, you're huge.
I'm pretty big. This lady's still bigger, but I'm pretty big. Now, let's see what happens now that I'm giant if we go and ask him to put on a costume.
Whoa.
All right. I'm now, you can't really see it, but I'm now a giant Rancor monster. Like, this is as far back as I can zoom.
All right.
So this is what's
This is
going on in
how
Star Wars
MMOs
Galaxies.
need to end, man. This is the
I
it seems like
started
you're
doing this
it
last
right.
night. I
Yeah.
checked in last night around 9 to see what was going on,
Right.
and I played until about, like, well past midnight, actually, because I was having so much goddamn fun with all of the dumb stuff they've put into this game. I'm gonna remove this costume. There we go.
You're still big.
There's the Pit of Carcoon.
Jump in.
You can't. This is why Star Wars Galaxies is closing, Jeff.
Because you can't jump in the pit.
Because you can't jump into the Sarlacc pit.
Yeah.
I hear
I hear lightsabers.
Here's Dude Baka. He's my buddy.
Dude, Baka's just dancing around.
He's pretty big also.
He's your friendly white Wookiee friend. the
He's my,
luxury
yeah, he's my
yacht?
white Wookiee friend. He's got a yacht.
Great.
Yeah, it's pretty dope. Let's see here. What are my other? I'm gonna unpack these other things I got.
Okay. Those all the gifts that you accepted.
Yeah. I had to deploy them so now I can actually use them. Right. So, let's see here. 8.
Dude Baka, I would like to just say, is a horrific name for a character.
Yeah, I totally agree. This is my dope new pod
You got
racer.
this other pod racer. You know, pod racer's all fine and good. Like, yeah, whatever. Why don't you fly? Why don't you do some flying?
Okay, I gotta stow that. Wait, hold on. I gotta stow this vehicle first.
That's all right.
Let me get out, and then I gotta stow it, which that one is.
Stow it.
0. Okay. I was trying to see which of my ships actually are capable of flight. All right, well, I can definitely bust out this one. Oh, there's a bigger ship right above me there.
Shoot him.
Millennium Falcon.
Shoot it. Can you fight the ship? Are you actually fighting the ship? Oh, yeah. Take it.
Oh, I'm good. Thanks.
Oh. Oh, it's disorienting. Oh, I'm upside down now.
That's, oh, geez.
Oh, hold on.
This seems like it wasn't made to handle this.
Wait.
Shoot that TIE fighter. Shoot that TIE fighter. Shoot Dude Baka.
Wait.
Shoot.
Wait. Hold.
No, you're not. No,
Wait. I can.
Shoot it. Yeah.
Wait. No.
Can you stop moving? Stop moving. Hover mode and then shoot the dinosaur.
There aren't any dinosaurs in Star Wars. Come on. TIE fighters.
What about dragons? The TIE fighter totally made a TIE fighter noise.
Yep.
Awesome.
What do you want?
Well, and not much more than that, as it turns out. Like that's.
So,
say
now we
what
can
you
fly
will.
around the friggin' world. If we wanted to. Who's shooting at me?
Keep firing. So,
Jeff, this thing controls like shit.
Well, I mean, it's meant to be flown in space.
You know what? It controls like shit in space, too.
So what level are you? I mean, how much honest questing did you do before everything went to
I've actually
totally
got like
gorillas?
5 hours of time in this.
Yeah. Well, then you're an expert.
This is the luxury yacht. This is
okay.
actually pretty awesome.
Is that Dude Baka's yacht?
That might be Dude Baka's yacht.
That's a pretty sweet yacht.
Now what do you think of it?
I don't like it so much anymore.
Because this is actually it right side up.
Yeah.
It's kind of the thing to do is just hang out
Hang out upside down.
upside down. That's what the cool kids do.
I mean, it's I imagine that a lot of these players have known each other, whether it's characters or if they made any kind of real life connection outside of the game for a good long time. Anyone still playing this game has probably been pretty long haul with it, right?
Yeah, you had to have been because they actually cut off new account registrations in September.
Right.
So you had to have had an account before then or created an account at that time and then maintained it through this.
Yeah.
Which I can't imagine is too many people.
Yeah, so I imagine, this kind of end game thing is like all these characters, a lot of these players have probably done everything there is to do in this game. So all they can really do is get together and watch the fireworks and kind of,
Screw around.
hold hands at the end of the world and screw around in ways that, the game never let them before. So
Let's see here. Let's go ahead and look at some of our commands here. People were asking.
yeah, what
There's
can you do
combat
here?
stuff, but who cares? Social.
I like getting social.
Sure, I'll take
I like to link profiles to. I
Oh,
love
this
getting
pizza looks
social.
super greasy. I'm into it.
Don't
Thank
eat
you.
greasy pizza on the green screen.
I got greasy pizza. Oh yeah. There, air guitar.
So what are our air guitar? I like that.
As promised.
Yeah. Accurate.
They did it. All right, let's see here. Let's go back and look at that commands here some more. Air guitar. Backhand. Bat eyelashes. Belch.
Just give it a good old regular ass slash dance.
The slash dance is disappointing.
Well,
For some reason, it does this thing where if you select. Oh, let's see here. Hold on. Invite Chewbacca to the group. If you have like another player or some object selected and you do the slash dance, it doesn't actually play the slash dance.
It just says like dances with that
Yeah, it
person.
says you dancing with that person. There we go.
There you go. All right. Yeah, man. That's an elegant, dignified dance. One that I think is fitting for the end of Star Wars Galaxies. Again, if you're just joining us, they are shutting down Star Wars Galaxies tonight at 9 p.m. Pacific. Is that the word?
9 p.m. Pacific. That's the official word from Sony as to when this will shut down. So they're going to
the final hours of.
I'm going to go
Star
get
Wars
small
Galaxies.
here, and then we're going to go roll around with Dude Baka in his luxury yacht.
Yes. Yes.
How does all of those things sound to you, Jeff?
I'll go anywhere with Dude Baka. Want to fall asleep in his white Wookiee arms.
Okay, resize me. Oh god, he made me even bigger. It's a point that's kind of hard to find.
Yeah.
I gotta restore my original size. Oh, but the camera's still all crapped up. All right, there we go. Okay. All right, Dude Baka's gonna get resized, and then we're gonna go get into his luxury yacht.
And where are the other members of our group? Are they around here? Or are they off doing something else?
I have no idea what's here. They're that way.
All right.
Over there. Oh, wait, hold on. Okay, so. Oh, damn it. Let's see here.
Can you go to the Death Star? Is there a Death Star? When did this take place? Besides, like a long time ago. And...
All right. There's Dude Baka.
Uh-huh.
We are now inside of his ship.
Okay, great.
I can sit in this chair, but we're going to run around inside the ship a little bit first.
I'm living in that 21st century, doing something mean
Big
to
crazy
it.
bar
Do
over
it better
here,
than
yeah.
anybody you
Doing
ever
kinda
seen.
understocked.
Do it springs from the haze.
yeah.
And a nice ring to it. I guess
You can do better.
Sweet elevator.
Sweet elevator that gets you up this little deck here, but then you can go further up.
Now it's starting to sound like a party.
According to GiantBomb.com, it says the game is set after the destruction of the Death Star in Episode 4 and before Episode 5.
That sounds about right.
Okay. So they don't build another Death Star until Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
So there's no.
Well, yeah, because Jabba the Hutt's still alive. and-
Canonically, there would be no Death Star right now. It's too bad because I bet a Death Star pet would be really awesome.
There's no reason they couldn't do that.
That's true. Yeah. There's just a little Death Star following you around as you go, and it just occasionally powers up and zaps somebody.
All right, we're going to try and get Pasquale and Justin in here so we can have a proper ship party.
A proper what party?
Ship party.
Okay, sorry. I thought you were talking about something else.
Fantastic. All right.
Yeah, fill up this yacht, man.
Yeah, our Englishmen are on their way.
All right.
We're going to fill this yacht with stupid. Let's go ahead and see what else we got here for commands. There's ships just rolling by.
Yeah, another yacht out there.
Yep, it's another yacht. I don't know what that is. Some other. No, I think it's one of our pods. All right, yeah.
I was gonna say, it's a sick blimp out there. Dave Snyder, who joins us here on the couch, what do you know about sick blimps?
Dirigibles?
Yeah, like a dirigible.
Yeah, like a dirigible.
Yeah,
Like a dirigible.
absolutely.
There's something about them. They drop bombs, hydrogen in them.
Yeah.
Sometimes they cause people to scream horribly.
Yeah.
I played this game.
Really? Like did you
back
play
in the
it at
day?
launch?
Yeah, I played it at launch for quite a bit of time. I played it up until I remember back when it was a 3-bar system. You used to have the 3, like you had a health bar, you had an energy bar, you had like a spirit bar, and like you would lose bits of it like permanently. Like you'd lose your spirit and you'd have to go to a dancer Like
get
they
your
had
spirit back?
Yeah, they had actual dancers and medics, and you'd have to go and it was like the weirdest MMO mechanic. Like you go and
Was it like to try to prevent you from just like powering through forever, like almost like a rested state, like that?
kind of. I think so, but it was weird that you had to actually sit there and watch people dancing in the cantina. To sort
I
of
heard
load it
that
back
the
up.
game was extremely punishing originally.
It was. And it was really weird because you could die if any of those 3 bars went down.
Oh,
So
weird.
like each one of the weapons would take down a specific type, and since like people who were like health, guys or whatever, you could attack their spirit. Like I believe like snipers were people that could attack the spirit, and so you could like 2-shot guys that were like super, huge and powerful.
Man, that sounds like the system I developed in the car this morning.
What did you develop in the car?
So I've been thinking about the problem with Star Wars video games,
Okay.
or kind of one of the issues is that throughout the fiction, pretty much without fail, the lightsaber is depicted as this unstoppable weapon. Cuts through anything, cuts dudes in half. Like if you
But
get,
you know
if
what?
you get hit
If
real
it falls
hard
out
with-
of if it falls out of your hand, it turns off. Like
it's
it's
a
just
safety
off.
mechanism.
Yeah. Okay.
That's
All right,
obviously
sure.
it would. It's duh.
Okay.
So, in video games, they can't do that. For various gameplay reasons, it would be bad if just, here's this weapon that one-shots everything, and,
Sure.
and all that sort of stuff. So, in the movies, they make all that stuff not just be a dude one-shotting everything around him by having the person you're fighting being very skillful. But,
Yeah.
but in games, it's just,
The dance,
it's
the
bouncing off
fighting,
dudes.
yeah.
They're
The Prince of
all the-
Persia fight, if you will.
Yes. Dance fight.
Yes.
Precisely. So what if you had another meter that was like focus or balance or something like that, and as you get attacked with a lightsaber, it drops that. So it's like it would almost be a spirit thing. Like your defensive spirit, your ability to continually dodge this thing goes down. And the animation is such that you're never getting
You know
hit
what
with
my
the
answer
lightsaber.
is? Do you remember Die by the Sword, the old PC game?
Yeah.
That's the system I would go to. I want full mouse control over my arm. I would like to be able to move it like this and block like this because that was clearly the way that video
Each
game
one
should have
Skyward
gone.
Sword. That's Die by the Sword taken
Really?
to extremes.
Who would have thought?
Yeah. But then then you could have, in that case, you could have animations that didn't show the lightsaber hitting,
Clinging, yeah,
like touching
sure.
a person, but you'd still have a number that would go down, and when it hits 0, they're going to be more likely to just get cut in half. And then you have that be like a factor of the health number. So if you have low health, your spirit or your focus can only be up to that point. So that you could have situations where someone's getting hit with a blaster, that's getting their health down, but it knocks their focus down as well.
I've just always
it's
felt
like it's a-
the Star Wars world didn't work well with class-based systems at all. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's like against the Star Wars sort of rule set. Like if you think about it, the Star Wars stuff is almost closer to like a Warhammer world, where it's like the Space Marines destroy everybody,
yeah.
and they just can like run through and sort of kill everything, and that's like what the Jedi are. And like being able to say like, oh, these bounty hunters are good and all this type of stuff, I just don't really see it personally.
Well, then what did you think about the way that this game handled it early on by making the Jedi kind of exceedingly rare?
I thought that was great.
Yeah.
I thought it was like that part of it specifically was really good. The bad parts about this game were that it was extremely unbalanced in the beginning. If I can remember correctly, I think it was one of the earlier games that had like pet classes, and so like the creature handler in the at launch was like destroyed everybody.
Right.
And you
To the point where didn't they just straight up take the creature handler out of the game?
I can't remember if they did that or just did like a huge nerf on it, but it was definitely one of those games where the balance on it was, fairly terrible. It also had like very bad like group mechanics. Like this was pre-WoW. EverQuest had kind of figured out like group mechanic type stuff, and Star Wars didn't really learn a whole lot of that. Like I remember I played my normal class, I played like a healer class, and I felt that the best way for me to sort of level up in this game was to sit in the hospital and
just heal.
to heal guys their bar that had become black, you know, that they needed it so that their max health could get back to normal, rather than like going out and fighting dudes, which was like silly. I spent most of my time just sitting around.
That sounds like a great way to spend $15 a month.
It's all right. Like, you know, MMOs, half it, like, people always talk about MMOs, and it's like, oh, you spend, you know, $50, so you're going to spend more money. I spend $50 on pretty much every game, so even with, like, a bad MMO, I end up spending, like, 20, 30 hours in that first month, and I feel like I get my money out of it. It's like, oh, I figured out
So
the
did you only
UI.
play Galaxies for the month? You didn't
No,
stick
I
with
played it for a few months, and then you always come back, because the bad MMO thing is you always believe the next MMO is the one that's going to be it. It's going to be the one that really has everything that you really wanted. And even the ones that have everything that you really want, like, you know, probably like WoW or something, you get to that eventual drain point where you're just like, oh, now it's a people managing game. Like a,
now it's
I may as well just be at.
Now it's a calendar.
Yeah. Oh, we've got like scheduled events, and it's just, it becomes sort of jobby. Which is, that's fine. You know, some people can dig that stuff. I certainly played other games that way. Like I used to play Quake that way, but that's where it falls off for me these days, because I just don't have the time to be like, yeah, I'll blow away every Tuesday at, you know, 6:30 p.m. because they're always like weird hours.
Yeah, that's definitely.
I know McCurdy had the weirdest guild that I'd ever heard of, which was he was playing in a guild he didn't realize why people didn't talk all that much. It was a WoW guild, big raiding guild, and it turned out that half of the guild was Vietnamese playing in Vietnam, and they had 2 Ventrilo servers where one was for the North American audience and the other was for the, and there was 2 guys that were like just talking to each other, translating in between.
Wow,
which is
operators.
fascinating. Yeah, hardcore.
That sounds great. That's one of those great stories that like MMOs definitely enable. Yeah. Like that kind of weird, whether it's a social dynamic or you know, kind of different ways of people meeting people and all that stuff. It's kind of the one really cool thing I think about.
Yeah, it's internet friends, man. You get that out of MMOs. Like we got, you know, the first one of these we did was, you know, the Matrix MMO. We got an internet friend. He's probably showing up at some point.
He's in the group here already.
Yeah, see, so there you go. I mean, it just that sort of happens. That's
and now we're internet friends with Dude Baka, who's a white Wookiee. This is his yacht we're on.
What? I'm more surprised. When did we get that awesome microphone that's in front
Do you like
of
my
Ryan?
giant, old-timey microphone here?
Yeah. Where's Edward R. Murrow? Like, is he going to show up later? And
yeah, he's actually going to play.
Talk some face-to-face
He's got a max level character that he's going to get in with.
He would, yeah. Just like press man. Yeah. Like he's got the full press outfit. It's like max level cigarette smoking.
All he did was sit in the hospital and smoke cigarettes at launch, and as such, he's done quite well for himself. So, have you ever played an MMO? You've probably never played an MMO long enough to where you were there when it was shut down, have you? Had an active account,
I always feel like
stuck with something all the way through.
Yeah, it's a weird sort of time, you know. I've definitely played MMOs like past the prime. Yeah. I tried DC Universe Online.
Started out past its prime.
Yeah, I know. But I tried it like a couple months ago on the PS3.
Yeah.
Which is extremely weird for me. I was just like, I want to see how it it translated.
I mean, when I played it, I decided I wanted to see what it was going to be like on PS3, and
it was kind of fun, but there's nothing more sad than like kind of a dead MMO, you know.
Well, they kind of just become chat rooms at a point, you know. It's like you get players that are kind of done with the content. They've reached the end game.
They're people managers.
Totally.
It's just people are sticking around because they dig hanging out with the same cats.
Kind of the one thing you know, not to just drag this into everything that we ever do, but it's one of the nice things about running this Trackmania server is that it has kind of developed a sort of regular crowd, and that game is such that it is so casual you can just not care about it, and it is half chat room.
And you found love outside of, you know, the actual game. Yeah, there's a love of dubstep.
Yeah, I've injected that.
Everybody's sort of taking
into
their own
it.
things. They bring it all to the table.
And I'm paying $15 a month to run that. So
well, but nobody else needs to pay $15. So there you go. So that's not too bad.
Yeah, giving back.
Yeah.
To the world of dubstep, I guess.
I know the one, the person in this office who has the best MMO stories are Andy. He has some very crazy Meridian 59 stories that are completely kind of unique, and it's kind of like how he got into coding, I think, as well. He also worked on Shadowbane, which I loved. I really liked that game. That was, for people that don't remember it, it was the first MMO where you could basically kill sort of, well, not first, but like first kind of major MMO where there were like no real factions or anything. It was just like, you can kill anybody.
Fight if you want.
Full PvP game.
What was Ultima Online faction based?
No, so that's what I'm saying. It's not first.
Yeah, like they were.
Hey guys.
Killed Lord British.
Yeah. What do you got?
Pasquale just sat down in the same chair that I was already sitting down in.
I thought he was our internet friend.
May the force be with you.
Now, awkward things are happening here.
Ryan, how many of these people, I mean, it's hard to tell because I know you're kind of new into this whole game, but like how many of these characters that we're hanging out with are like high level dudes versus...
Probably most of them. I know Pasquale isn't specifically, but like we said earlier, to be playing this game, you had to have had an existing account a while ago.
So at least from September.
Yeah, at least from September. You couldn't have just signed up today. Like they cut off new signups a while ago.
But you weren't playing it like every day, so it's like your character's fairly new. I assume, right?
I mean, I signed up. I probably, this is like a 3-month-old character, a little more than that. And I'm like a little lower than level 10. I haven't done a ton of honest questing, but enough to know that it has turned into kind of a post-WoW MMO. Apparently now everyone can sit in the passenger seat at once.
Well,
We're learning things about Star Wars Galaxies here.
Safety first. Everyone needs to sit down and buckle up.
So we've got a party here on the yacht, and we're heading back to Mos Eisley. And, yeah, there we go.
So we got a stormtrooper,
nightmare machine going on here.
Big Daddy from BioShock.
The other thing that Star Wars world has tough with it, with the MMO stuff, there's not a lot of gear. Like everybody's wearing a robe of some sort. Like there's cool looking dudes.
Yeah.
Like they're wearing like, oh, those red robed Imperial, Emperor guards,
Yeah.
Those
but then
guys
there's
are
a billion of them.
Yeah, and then it's like there's just not much to it.
Right.
So.
A lightsaber's kind of a lightsaber. It's definitely one of the weird things. Like
I see clothing on a Wookiee, and it bothers me.
I agree. Dude Baka was running around in robes earlier, and I said, I will have none of this.
Yeah.
Naked Wookiee or nothing.
It's good to have rules and standards.
That's all I'm interested in. So we're gonna roll to Mos Eisley and go see the cantina. That's pretty much the only thing worth seeing in Mos Eisley.
Yeah.
And then we'll probably go to Endor and go fight
Shakedown.
the Imperials there. Let's see, how far are we?
The yacht was shaken apart there for a second.
It's a little weird.
Yeah. But yeah, it's from the brief time I spent playing Old Republic during the beta, it was definitely that weird thing of just like, I have a lightsaber that has a DPS number attached to it, and at some point I will upgrade it to raise the DPS or replace it to get different stats. And now I have an offhand lightsaber so I can dual wield.
Is it smaller?
It didn't look smaller.
So it's like you're...
Yeah. Because at level 10 you pick advancst class.
Yeah, because
so,
I want like some samurai where you've got the smaller sword or something. Right?
Yeah, it didn't look...
Just a normal...
It didn't look smaller. I didn't play a ton of it, so it didn't...
So sifting through the chat of our little party that we've put together here, this one guy's saying that he's using his launch character.
Oh, wow.
So...
Yeah.
Some of these have some age to them.
Man.
How's your Star Trek character that you've been playing,
actively
on your lifetime?
There's no real rush to build them up. That's kind of the beautiful thing about it.
Did you see
I've got a lifetime to
that they kind of
level 'em up.
redid that one where it now has a lot more active fighting?
So I've been meaning to kind of come back to it and try it out because I thought the space combat was interesting.
The party stuff was always super weird.
Yeah,
it still looks super weird.
All the away team stuff was kind of blah. But if that's the stuff they rebuilt to make it more actiony, like a full rebuild on that
seems like you can
really
actively shoot now.
Yeah, that sounds kind of exciting.
Yeah.
If they actually got that stuff right, which is hard for MMO.
So what do you think, like, what's your opinion on, and I know, like, you haven't necessarily spent a lot of time with a lot of these games, but, like, Crimecraft APB, like there's a lot of them like
They try to do
coming
action.
back. I mean, like
Oh,
APB
like, oh,
coming
right,
back,
right.
being a free-to-play game.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, this game, it lasted 2 months, and then hey, we just relaunched it.
So this is kind of where the atmospheric flight is not
Whoa.
finished.
It's perfect. I don't know what you're talking about.
Like an
I have
Escher
no
drawing.
complaints with anything that's happening right there. Oh no.
I do appreciate though that gravity inside the yacht is unaffected.
Well, yeah. Obviously, it's got stuff inside it to prevent that.
Make a rule for that. It should be like Bescher's force. Bescher's
Bessier's
force.
quotient.
Oh yeah, Bessier's quotient.
Yeah. It's the
An object in movement is still in
generates
movement
its own gravity.
as
yeah.
long as circular hypotheses are
Right.
flangular.
Yes. It's got a flangular generator that maintains gravity on the
Sure.
craft itself. So
Yeah,
it's
well,
not
crystals.
Really an issue.
Crystals.
Right. Crystals. Obviously. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird to see some of that stuff come back. I mean, like APB was an especially weird one because they spent so much money developing it, put it out, immediately tanked, they folded, and then someone came in and bought it. And they probably got a pretty good deal on it because they got this game that
It's finished.
someone spent
Yeah.
millions developing, and all they kind of had to do is retrofit it to be a free-to-play game. Kind of move the paywalls around and relaunch it. And it sounds like they put out a press release today saying they got 3 million signups or something like that already, which for a free-to-play game doesn't necessarily mean a lot. But,
Yeah, but you know.
it's interesting. I just don't think that game was very good, kind of for any price. When they launched it, the way they were asking for money, I thought was really weird. And the way Crimecraft did it as well was just like, is this weird thing of just like, you're getting hours of time in what's basically a really bad third-person shooter that's not worth paying to play. Like,
That's right.
you'd be
They
better
have
off
a
with
tiered
Quake Live,
structure, right?
but
Like you
yeah.
can pay separate for each, like the amount of hours you wanted to play a month, right?
Yeah.
Super weird.
Yeah, really weird. But I just that to me still seems like kind of the holy grail of, can someone build an action game that feels like an action game, but have it work on something that approaches a massive scale? And like we're just not there yet from a bandwidth perspective, I think.
What do you think?
really
I mean,
do
like
it.
PlanetSide 2 is coming around or something, right?
Yeah, and I thought PlanetSide, for what it was and when it came out, was the closest that we've gotten still to having
really-
something that feels like an action game.
It's really hard though, because when you see like even just games that don't have that massively size, right? Like something like MAG or Battlefield 3.
Right.
It's like even then it feels like too chaotic, where like you can't seem to get enough direction in those games.
I mean, PlanetSide definitely had that as well. They built some smart systems into that game where you just be like, instant action, take me to where the fights are. And it would teleport you to the front lines, you would airdrop in and kind of do stuff. So it would get you into those situations. And there was some kind of hierarchy where you might be able to get some orders from some players if you were into that sort of thing. But I was always just a hacker, and I would just drop in behind enemy lines where they didn't have any people and just one man take over territories and kind of work my way up to where there were actual player characters and then lose because I was by myself.
Yeah, which in its way is kind of boring too, because it's like you
I
want
had
to run
weird
into
subversive
dudes.
fun with it though, where it was just like, I'm just taking all this back while you're all sleeping.
Yeah. I don't know. I just
but
wonder
it
if
didn't
those
make for a
kind of
very
games
fun
can
game,
work
yeah.
that, like at that level.
Yeah.
Like how do they give it purpose?
Yeah, well, it's the problem of it's a war that never ends, and it's a war where the victories are completely meaningless.
I think it'll end up eventually becoming some weird instanced system where you exist as a character in a world where you're exploring,
Yeah.
and that's where you can group and do all that kind of stuff. But then you're going to go into sort of dungeons or the equivalent with your party, and then they can become full scale, sort of like Borderlands style co-op games or something weird like that.
I mean, that's sort of how they've been doing it with instances and stuff like that. And like phasing, like World of Warcraft does that. There's been some other games I think that do
Yeah,
similar
just mean
stuff
like
too, where
with
it's
an action.
I
think that's the only way
I've
you can do
gotten
it with an
past this
action
part
game.
of the story,
Yeah.
so when I go to this town, it's totally destroyed, or this king is dead, or whatever, right?
I just like the battleground stuff in Warcraft is actually really well done. Like massive, it basically takes it down to that Battlefield 3, Battlefield style, interaction between large teams, but it feels kind of controlled because it's smaller. Like there are goals that you're going for, but that little part then becomes a bigger, part of the game instead of like, oh, we can get to that spot. It's like, no, you have to wait in a queue, you get into it, and then you sort of fight. So I'd like to see something that has, an FPS feel with that has that, and then I can still go around and get my guns and get all that kind of fun stuff rather than it just being like open world, like everybody's running around type stuff.
It's been hard for me to really get any good at PvP in an MMO because I don't play enough of them.
And you need a gear.
And you need gear, you need someone watching your back, like all that stuff.
Just play healer.
But at the same time, like I don't really want to talk to people all that much.
You don't need to talk to
All
people.
that stuff. I don't need to talk. Let's talk more heal.
Yeah.
But, so I've been playing. It's been in beta for a while. It's the Warhammer.
Oh,
offshoot,
yeah.
The Wrath of Heroes.
And they're basically doing the same thing. They're taking their like Battlefield-y style game and separating
and
into like
kind of separating
the
it
Guild
into-
Wars style fight.
So yeah, exactly. It ends up being kind of a Guild Wars fight with preset characters with preset abilities. So it's like 5 abilities per character or something like that. And just even, it took me a long time to just wrap my mind around the positioning of it.
Oh my
Because
god.
Think about
Oh god.
that's Yoda. What's up with Yoda?
He's hanging out.
Why does Yoda
Is that
look
puppet
so busted?
Yoda or is that
Why does
like
Yoda
CGI Yoda?
Why is Yoda huge? Is that even Yoda? That's not even Yoda.
That's Yoda.
Why does it say Nylor above his head? Oh, it's because it's someone wearing a costume.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
That's amazing.
Right.
Ear hair technology. It's like
Second to none. It's gonna take years for Old Republic to get ear hair like this.
Man, looking at that hair, for a second I thought this was a wrestling MMO.
You're not gonna find launch hair of this quality and magnitude. Oh, okay. I'm terrible at. Let's see. Where's the goddamn?
Yeah, read the signs. That'll help. That one says
Medical center.
Space this way. But even just like the way you fight mobs, like positioning
Oh,
and
Jesus
where
Christ.
you stand.
Hey. Oh.
Traditionally not that big of a deal, but like having to just like chase a moving target and like, okay, this attack I have only works in certain range, so if he's gonna back away, I gotta make sure I'm right up there getting him and stuff. Like it's a very different thing.
All
but
right,
it is. That is
literally right
in
here.
those
Okay.
games. It's just probably something you never. Because
Yeah,
my guess
exactly.
is
It's
that
something
you
that I
would
just-
love, and probably most people would love. Like I still think of like WoW Battlegrounds, favorite PvP of all time. Like even as like a healer or whatever, like more strategy, more like because it's such that class-based effort, you end up getting to that sort of Team Fortressy 2 style game system where you have to get that little strategy. But like you said, it takes like so long to and so much experience to
Right.
just jump in, which I think like scares people out of it quite a bit.
It's kind of why I was digging the Warhammer stuff, is because
Yeah.
it is just like straight up.
So do they have
hit a
any
button and
voice?
play.
Is there any like voice command? Like, can you talk with people immediately in it?
I don't know if it's built in or not. I mean, it's still in beta, so it's kind of
Sure.
hard to tell. They've got like a like click on the map, and everyone on your team will see that. And kind of order people around that way.
Hey
but
guys,
it's
I'm in
nice.
space.
You're in space. Space. But they've built kind of scenarios like capture the flag or team deathmatch and that sort of stuff with that kind of MMO combat feel.
Yeah.
That's kind of interesting.
I was not around when Star Wars Galaxies moved to space.
When they added
but
space.
I feel like I did not miss a whole lot.
Now look, oh my God, what else happened on that map?
What was the EA backed space? It's like Beyond Earth.
Yeah,
Earth and
Beyond Earth 21.
Something like that.
Is it Earth and Beyond?
Earth and
Earth and
Beyond.
Beyond sounds like a TV show though.
But I think that's right.
But it was canceled like fairly early. Like it lasted about a year.
If
I
that.
remember it came out the same time as Eve. Earth and Beyond.
Yep, Earth and Beyond.
Yeah.
2002. And it closed in September of 2004.
I'd like somebody to make. It was kind of funny. I was talking last night with a couple users about that game X3
Yeah.
because I was looking through like Privateer and I was looking at all the GOG sales and stuff, and I was like, oh, I really want to play Privateer. I was thinking about Eve. I was thinking about that game X3. Impossible to play.
X3?
Yes. It's the only game I've played that I'm just like, I can sit there for 5 hours and really have no like idea. You know, I've played hard games where it's like, oh, I don't really know what I'm doing. That game, I really have no idea what I should be doing, where I should be going. It's so, but it seems so deep.
Yeah.
It's like I just want to.
Did you
I
play
want to be like a
X2?
space guy. Yeah, I played.
So
but
X2
it did
you
the
were
same
able.
thing.
Oh, okay, it was the same.
No,
same
not.
deal. Okay.
I mean, they all to me have like, they're huge open sandboxy style games.
Right.
Where you're out there in space with your ship.
X3 Terran Conflict.
Yeah.
It was X2 the threat, right? Is
Yeah.
that?
But it's basically, they're pretty much the same game. It's like those guys that just iterate over the engine over and over.
Right.
I saw that there was like an expansion pack for X3 released like yesterday. I was like, wow, that's out of the blue.
Yeah.
But I think they run that game as like a continuous sort of game where they just kind of keep adding to it for a little bit.
Makes sense. So if you can have ships in atmosphere, can you be out of a ship in space?
No.
Oh.
No, you cannot.
Hey, we wait a couple hours, they'll add that too.
Maybe.
Can you think of a space station in the Star Wars universe? Was there ever a space station?
Death Star.
Death Star.
That's not a moon.
Space station.
Okay.
So yeah, I'd say maybe the most famous space station ever.
You're right, but like, are there any other ones?
Well, obviously, because they didn't just go from no space
I thought it was
stations
more like it was
to
a
fucking
weapon. It was
the
like a big weapon.
planet-sized
It's a
space
battle
station.
platform.
Like, where do I dock? Like, in the Star Wars universe, everybody could just fly down.
You just land on a planet. Like
I know.
they have space stations in the non-traditional sense of they are stations where ships from space land, but they're on a
Yeah,
planet.
I just think it's kind of interesting.
I don't know. I'm sure.
Seems
there's
like
some.
such a constant of sci-fi culture.
Right.
For you, like, if you're going around in space, that you like
gotta dock
stop
at
at
the
these
space
spots.
station.
Like, it seems very weird that like Han Solo was never like drinking drinking beers at some bar on
In
some
space.
yeah,
Yeah.
some junker. He said, he just went to like planets. Oh,
I don't know.
very strange. Ryan, what's your favorite planet in the Star Wars universe?
Dantooine.
Yeah.
Because
Oh, man.
shit doesn't happen on Dantooine.
Dantooine just sounds like the name of someone's character in this game.
Yeah.
I like Tatooine. My name's Dan. I'm Dantooine.
Dantooine.
Yeah. Are you flying to that planet?
No.
Could you even do that, or is that just
It
painted?
doesn't even look like
Doesn't
it's
yeah? It
moving.
doesn't.
What? There's little particles flying past me and
Are you
stuff.
even moving away from the other planet?
Oh, totally. I'm out in the middle of goddamn nowhere now.
Can you do any space mining?
There's the planet.
Oh, you still seem fairly close.
Well, it's big.
Did you get to
Here, we'll
name
fly over
your
here. See
ship?
what's going on over here.
Ooh, yeah. Do you name your ships in this game?
I don't think so. Profession. Basic space.
That's just a picture
No.
of Han Solo.
I don't think it was Han Solo. It looked like.
No, that's Han Solo.
That
It's
is.
like that's like the skill tree. What is that? Just like more.
Yeah, dude, I'm a smuggler. So guess what? Han Solo. They're not fucking around about it, and I appreciate
cool.
that.
Fundamentals
Yeah.
4.
I
It's like a book that you
Yeah.
get at like
Like, oh,
Borders.
yeah, Smuggler's Fundamentals.
I respect that they just like look.
Smugglers
This is
for dummies.
this is how you be Han Solo.
You kiss the girls. You punch dudes.
Yep.
You shoot first.
Appearance.
But not with the girls.
Apparently, this is what I look like inside of my ship.
It's great.
Again, smuggler fundamentals.
Right there. All right. Let's see. Yes.
I've got exciting news, you guys.
What's the news? I'm excited.
We're set up to take phone calls.
Oh my
What?
God.
Yeah. If you want to call in, not you. I mean,
Oh.
I don't
You can call.
necessarily think you have to call in.
What if I do want to call in?
We are Whiskey Media on Skype.
Oh God damn it! I can't use that.
We
How
have
am I
real
gonna
phone
call?
number,
I
too.
can't. Oh,
Yeah, we got a real phone number.
do you remember it? Ryan does. Ryan knows it by heart.
415-508-3975. Right? I always get worried because the phone number that I have for my desk line
Is close?
is really close.
Oh.
So I always think I'm going to say that instead.
Well, now somebody's just running through the numbers.
There it is.
People are
Okay.
numbers. So if you want to give a call in and ask us any questions about Star Wars, ask the Star Wars experts about Star Wars. What are you attempting to? What are you doing over there?
Let's see here. I'm trying to go to Endor.
And there's no fast travel.
Yeah, there is.
Is this it?
Hyperspace route calculations begun.
Ryan, how was the pizza?
What's that?
How was the pizza?
It's pretty good. Thank you for that.
It was all right.
I thought it was going to be funky, but it was delicious.
Yeah, it is all right. Pizza. I don't like small pepperoni.
50%.
Scares me.
Like when it curls up.
Yeah,
and
it's like
just
little
becomes a pool, like
pepperoni.
a
Yeah.
bowl of grease.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, dudes.
You use
75%.
paper towels to pat down a piece of greasy
I've
pizza.
done it. I feel guilty about it, but I've
Yeah.
definitely done it.
Yeah. Like better than the alternative.
I think it's mostly because I'm worried about it like
All right,
being
guys.
all over me.
Yeah.
Getting our hyperspace on.
Jump to light speed.
Woohoo!
All right.
Everyone calm down.
Wasn't that the expansion name? Was that?
Yeah,
Jump to Lightspeed. Yeah.
There was that. There was Rage of the Wookiees, I think, was another one.
Oh yeah.
All right,
A
there we
Wookiee
go.
does not rage. All right, I got our first call on the line. We've got Jeff on the line.
Jeff!
What?
Hey!
Oh,
What's up, Jeff?
not much. How's it going?
Great.
Great. Terrific.
Well, we're talking to you, idiot, so ours isn't much better.
We're getting paid to do this. So
Yeah, you got any questions for us, dumbass? Oh, it's clipping out. I'm
Hello?
not getting. He's. What's it? What?
Losing you?
Hits it.
Stop shooting
What?
from your.
What?
Say it again. You need to turn your stream down a little bit here. It's barely hear you.
Let me do this too.
You say something about ice cream is delicious, dude?
I think so.
That's what I heard.
Yes.
Yes.
Now we can hear you. Go ahead. Yeah, Dave, what do you think about?
What I want to see out of that Warhammer game is exactly what I saw in Space Marine. Like, I want to be able. I love that everybody, all the orcs in that game, are cannon fodder. Like
Yeah,
you are fighting versus like 100 guys at a time. I think it's really hard to like have that sort of conveyed in a game. You know, like where you're just fighting that one-on-one stuff.
Right.
So it's like I don't want it to be like these big epic battles. I think the best thing that the Warhammer series has for it is that like its dudes are so much stronger than like everybody else, and you can just like run through these swaths of sort of dudes. I'd like it to be more actiony, but I had a lot of fun with the Relic RTS game, so I think that world's got like a lot of character to do stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, mostly you just want to see in any one of those games you just want to make sure they get the look right. Like, do the shoulder pads look large enough?
Right.
You know, that's
Yeah.
pretty much like what
And you
you're
probably want
asking.
some loot variety too. It's like, do I have an assortment of shoulder pads to choose from?
Yeah, and it's, you know, miniature-based culture, so you want to make sure that you can like color code like everything specifically.
Do I have to buy a collector's edition to get a pewter character?
Be cool.
An
That'd be a
unpainted
game.
in-game character?
That sort of game would be good for that sort of Skylanders concept, where you just sort of drop them
Totally.
on.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like if it could somehow digitally figure out the paint on your character, you know, get even beyond the
Probably
the
pretty
actual
hard,
figure.
but,
Yeah,
yeah.
of course. But we're talking.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thanks for your call, Jeff. Thanks for the question.
Jeff's gone. So I think I got to come over here to this space station before I can land on the forest moon of Endor.
Ryan, you have any plans with all this stuff?
What?
Are you just kind of running through?
We're gonna run around.
Yeah, we're just seeing every planet, seeing
Yeah.
the sights.
Well, Endor's where the PvP stuff is
Yeah,
right now, right?
there are
Alright.
3 big events. I guess the Battle of Theed is supposed to happen soon.
You know what I
bet.
love about these series is that I love that Ryan sort of acts like a guy at a party that like shows up at a party and everybody's at the party, and then like at a certain point he's like, I'm getting out of here. And he just sort of goes on his own.
Yeah.
And he's like, where did
Right.
Ryan go? But like because it's being live streamed, everybody eventually kind of finds him. So
Like,
it's
oh,
like
okay, that's where he
That
went.
is
it's like
very
a
mu-
Where's Waldo.
That is very much like
Yeah.
Ryan in real life.
Yeah.
You will look around and go, where'd Ryan go?
I think he's at home.
We've
Sorry,
got,
I had to bail.
Yeah, we got another call on the line. We got Vagar. Are you there? Hello. Hi. How's it going? Great.
Fantastic. What's your question, sir?
That's
Features
a good
from Galaxies
question.
that we'd like to
Thank
see
you for your
in
call.
Old Republic.
Yeah. Anything that you've seen so far? Well, I think the ability to get giant is something I would love to see.
The problem for me is that the thing that I enjoy about MMOs is when they stop acting like MMOs and really embrace their status as a big, crazy, glorified chat rooms, where it's just dumb stuff is happening constantly.
You just want social gear.
I think, honestly, the first 24 hours and the last 24 hours are the best time in any MMO. Is when it's first starting and everyone is trying to like discover the possibilities, or the last 24 where all hope has been dashed and it's just hanging out with your buddies that you've
Turn
managed
everything
to make
on and yeah.
over the lifespan of the game. So I'm not sure if there's really features per se. Oh, there's the space station. There's features per se that I'd want to see, but I guess kind of amping up the social stuff. This game has a lot of weird social elements to it. I don't know exactly what they have,
They have
already
a social
implemented
vendor
in
in
Old
the Old
Republic.
Republic, where you are by grouping up with people. That's like another faction stat that you're building up, and you get access to kind of different. I think most of it's cosmetic gear, but you're getting kind of access to additional stuff by just kind of playing with others. So it seems like that they are thinking about different things you can do.
That's a good reason to
Social
sort of
stuff.
group up and stuff, give
Yeah.
people like differences. The key thing that I think that like MMOs need to do well to make them thrive is that you have to take those high level characters. You have to have like those central towns. Like you need a central town where like a high level character and a low level character, like the low level character can see that guy.
Right.
And like when you do those expansions, a lot of the EverQuest and stuff, they failed with that because they take people to these other worlds and that's where all the high level characters are. Then you just have like
Yeah.
these sort of noobs not seeing what the game has to offer.
Yeah, you want to see like, you want that aspirational thing of like, look at that dude's gear and go, oh my god,
Yeah,
look at that thing.
I want to.
That guy looks like he's perpetually on fire.
Yeah.
Like, I should probably do whatever he did to get that stuff. I kind of like I mean, it seems like it's not really required anymore because so much of it has just been integrated into future games. But I like ThoughtBot, like that
Yeah.
era of World of Warcraft where you're just like running external programs and it was just like it was always telling you like here's where this is or you're likely to find this here if you need these.
Before
here's where
the
to go.
arrow was
like before
there.
the arrow was there, just like the weird kind of hacky type stuff.
See, I
and then
would
for a
say-
little bit there, they had that auto corpse run that was really useful. And then they're
Yeah.
like, you can't do that. Like,
Yeah.
stop that.
That was funny because when I was going through that Morrowind playthrough, I was like, I just really like playing a game where it tells me to turn left at the fork in the road north of the town. Like, just like, there's no arrow. Like, we're okay.
Yeah,
You know where
cross
north
this bridge,
is.
hang a left.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
like, oh, that's great. It's like it's making me get somewhere, and so I like even taking it that far back.
I think it's only good when you take it that far removed if the world is worth exploring. Like, you
true.
have to build
Sure.
an extremely high quality world.
Is that a space station?
I think so. I'm going towards it.
All right.
See, now.
There you go.
We have Andrew on the line. Andrew, you there?
Yeah, hi.
Andrew, where are you calling in from?
I'm calling in from Waterloo, Canada.
Waterloo, Canada. What's your question, Andrew?
Yeah, I was just wondering, like, how much any of the guys in the office played Star Wars Galaxies when it was actually a relevant game.
When it was actually a relevant game, I think Dave Snyder is probably the only one who spent any significant amount of time in.
I would say I probably put about 6 months in the early game. Dropped out like most people did. It's hard to remember when was the original day? When did it originally came out? Like 2004?
2003.
2003.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vinny bought the collector's edition. He has a pewter figurine of Bruce.
I may have that too, and it's like sitting somewhere under a, I don't know, sitting under a cloth map.
Yeah, exactly. A cloth map of Tatooine.
I played it for a decent amount of time. I think though, like right around then, you had like sort of better. You had some better options. Like I think I still may have been playing Dark Age of Camelot or something around that time. And sort of once WoW came around, it was pretty impossible to sort of go back.
Yeah. Kind of. Why would you play anything else once that was out? All right, you're crashing into the space station.
I certainly remember like when the first Jedi started appearing, which was super
Yeah.
kind of late in that game.
Right.
It almost felt as if they had said it as, oh well, we're not, maybe like we haven't even built it yet.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. But what was that? There was it was not every character was even force sensitive. You would
Yeah.
complete some big quest line to
It was
decide
a
to see if you
huge
were.
quest line. It was like a big epic
And then
quest.
once it was determined whether you were force sensitive or not, then there was a huge quest to go on to actually become a Jedi.
And then I think that there was, and again, this is going to be one of those things where everybody's just like, what are they talking about? But I think there was also, somehow there was some bounty system, like where you killing a Jedi was like a big deal.
Oh.
But yeah, I love that idea. I really think, and I know it's tough in like sort of modern days where it's like, oh, well, hey, everybody wants to be strong and that type of stuff. But I
But
love
everyone
the
wants to be
idea.
the Jedi.
Yeah. I love the idea of these, just super crazy characters.
This is said pewter figurine. It's just been delivered to the set.
Did we
That's it.
just get it? That's awesome.
I'm alarmed that this is here.
And it's a lady.
All right. Now drop that onto your portal of power,
All right.
and then she'll be in the game.
Wow. All right.
And then when you take it off, the level is stored in the figure.
She's got shoulder pads.
Bring it to your friend's house.
She's working. It's like 80s.
Yeah.
It's 80s time. She's working at the office.
Big old shoulder pads.
Yeah.
I have a question
look.
from Waffles. What MMO have you spent the most time with? How long?
World of Warcraft, probably.
I could probably give you mine in order.
Yeah.
It would be World of Warcraft, probably Dark Age of Camelot, Anarchy Online. I played Anarchy
Oh,
Online.
you know,
I thought was
did-
actually
I
a
did
really
play
good game.
Kind of a lot of Anarchy Online.
Had a horrible launch. Like when he was talking about the best times, or the first 24 hours, I was like, oh god,
Yeah.
no, before
AO was completely busted.
it was broken.
Yeah.
It was you had.
And it wasn't like, the servers don't work. It was
Yeah.
like fundamentally,
Yeah.
like,
You get in that game and something was here, and then it was like halfway across the
Yeah.
map. It was kind of all over the place.
Yeah. There's another game that tried to do player housing and all that sort of stuff.
I
Weird.
played a decent amount of Guild Wars, played a decent amount of Shadowbane.
Guild Wars doesn't count.
We're
Not an MMO.
classifying. Okay. I played. I even played games like Horizons. You remember that one where you could be like a? I think it's still playing.
Horizons.
You could be a dragon. That was its
All
big
right.
call. Like you would start as like a weird baby dragon. It was one of the classes you could pick.
Empire of Astaria.
That's it. That's totally it. I think it's free to play or something now. I tried Vanguard for a while. I basically,
I heard a lot of bad things about Vanguard.
it was pretty much EverQuest. It was made for people that really liked sort of that old style game,
Okay.
that thought that newer MMOs were a little too easy.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I played a lot
there
of
we go.
a lot of AO.
I played Eve. Eve's way up there. I've definitely put a lot of hours into Eve. The fun one, I thought Shadowbane was one of the really cooler ones because you had player cities that could be attacked, and there was a world that like the borders changed, and
Okay, yeah.
you could build your city up, and then you'd have like shopkeepers. I also played a decent amount of Final Fantasy was it
11.
11.
11.
And I remember playing like a white mage or whatever the healing class there was. That game was actually really fun because it had, one of the coolest parts in that game was it had these combo mechanics where you'd be in these groups just like a normal MMO, but you'd do a hit, you know, one guy would hit, the other guy would hit, the other guy would hit.
Right.
And like if you did it in that order, you'd get these large
Triggered.
bonuses,
Yeah.
which you know made it just a little bit cooler. Had very bad death penalty stuff though, which
Right.
was really nasty. You know, it came out on the PC first, and it had the weirdest control scheme, mostly because it wasn't really mouse driven.
Right. I mean,
And
they,
so
they were,
you were like-
because they were building it for PlayStation 2
Yeah.
as well, so it was this weird. It was almost like the DCUO situation. Where
It was
kind of-
super strange.
I remember I was installing Final Fantasy 11 and the World of Warcraft beta right around the same time, same day. I almost want to look up the dates and make sure that that makes sense.
While you're doing that, I will say that Final Fantasy 14
Yeah.
was the shortest I've ever played. I actually bought it, took it home, went through the, I don't know how many hour install after the fact.
Right.
Because you could only buy it. Who releases an MMO where you can only install it off discs?
Right. Yeah.
What? It blew my mind.
Japan.
Yeah, Japan does, I guess. I played it for about an hour and a half, and I was like, yeah, I really don't need to play this game.
Yeah, so that works out. Final Fantasy was 2003, and then so this would have been a cycle of the World of Warcraft beta.
Yeah.
Installing them both at the same time, and World of Warcraft finished installing first. Didn't get to Final Fantasy 11. I kind of messed with it a little bit.
Back in the days of
this
Ner'zhul.
this other thing is better.
Yeah.
I was back when all the
I mean, that's
towns
kind of
looked
thing with
different and
WoW when it first launched is that even if you had never played an MMO before, you put that in, and you're like, oh, this is clearly much better than the
Yeah.
other things.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those things that frustrated people that had played a lot of MMOs up to that point. Is it was that thing where, like, their secret thing was suddenly getting mainstream and popular, and some of them couldn't handle
I
that.
don't think a lot of people had a problem with that. Like
I know some people who did, but yeah, it was. I think they were either won over or it got to the point where it was like, just shut up, man. This is what these games are now.
Yeah, but all you guys dropped out eventually, like,
yeah,
pretty
totally,
quick,
totally.
so it was fine.
Yeah.
Then we could run Molten Core.
Right.
Yeah, we're fine.
Yeah. I ended up playing. I mean, it's hard to know the number for sure because I ended up playing the beta so much, and it was reset. Like it was like 2 cycles of beta where characters were getting reset, kind of left and right. But I probably played somewhere between 200 and 300 hours that game.
Yeah.
Not that much, but compared to what some people have played now, scary amounts of played.
It's tough. Andy and I remember that was our last big binge was when Cataclysm came out that last year, and we played for Christmas break. You know, we both played and we were racing to 85. We started brand new characters, and you'd look at the game time and you're like, holy shit! I just put like 8 days of game time over the span of like 2 weeks. What am I doing in my life? You know.
Right.
And so I've thought about it with.
Do you know if Andy also worked on Star Wars Galaxies at any point?
He did not. He was Ubisoft Cat, and I believe he worked. You know, he helped the Wolfpack guys, which were the guys that worked on Shadowbane.
So at some brief point, he was somehow affiliated with Matrix Online, wasn't he? Because that was Ubisoft for it's like a week or something, and then Sega.
I don't know.
Or
You
Sega
can
had
look
it,
him
and-
up.
yeah.
Andy's on the website. We can definitely figure out his credits.
I'm sure his page is up to date.
Yeah. What's he got in his game credits? I think he's on Uru or something like that. Right?
Yeah, Conquest Frontier Wars, Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon, The Sum of All Fears, Shadowbane, and Uru.
Ghost Recon's the only one that's all right in that list.
Yeah.
Whatever, you know, if you like Shadowbane.
Yeah, sure.
What I find really interesting these days is the people that resurrect these old MMOs and then host them.
Like run private servers?
Yeah,
and-
like the Rogue UO servers or the Rogue Viridian servers.
That sounds really exciting because
Yeah.
I like the idea of like being able to create content.
It's like your Trackmania stuff in a little way.
little
It's
bit,
like
yeah.
I can make this game as goofy as I want for my friends and stuff. And
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was running a Phantasy Star Online server on my PC at home for me and like 2 other people for a month or so, and then I got a new PC, and getting it all up and running on the new machine was more trouble than it was worth. So, so that was that. But yeah, that was pretty cool because you could affect drop rates or you know, loot tables rather. So it was just like, I'm just gonna make all the rarest, craziest stuff drop in the very first area of the game, so we can run around and totally lay waste to everyone and just kind of have a good time.
Yeah, we should get Andy on. He's got fun stuff with Meridian because as a coder, he just sort of backwards hacked the client because a lot of those games were sending stuff directly from the client side.
Right.
And so he, as he tells it, has had pretty much god abilities in Meridian 59, and the majority of the bugs that were closed in that game were because of things that he was doing in the world. Like he was just the worst griefer. Which Andy, it makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Ryan, where are we at?
We're on Endor.
Oh,
Dude Bach is gonna come pick me up in a second.
It looks
Okay.
lush.
Oh, it's trees.
Yeah.
Something wrong with that moon.
It's not a moon.
What's wrong with it is that it's not a moon.
Oh,
It's the
totally
Death Star.
not a moon.
That's bad.
I thought it was in between.
I don't know when this is.
I don't know. Let's get Doug on the line, see if
Harry
he can make
looked it
any
up.
sense of this. Doug,
Doug,
Yo.
where and when are we?
Yo, what's up? I have no idea.
perfect. Great, Doug. Where are you calling from?
Long Island, New York.
Terrific.
Long Isle.
What's your question?
Long Island.
What's your question, Doug?
I wonder what you guys think about the new Star Wars MMO. If the voice acting is gonna help, you think? You think it's gonna like change the gameplay just because voice acting?
Yeah, I think that's the big question, Doug. Thanks for calling. It's kind of the weird big question mark with Old Republic, is they've placed a real big bet on people wanting to watch these cinematics kind of before and after every quest, and get way into the lore and stuff like that. And I think back to all the people I've grouped with in MMOs over the years, they all just wanted to skip past that stuff as quickly as possible and get to the rat killing.
I want the world of Lord British back. I want player characters that are in the world that are playing, and those people to have voice command. Like them to, I want acting in video games.
Right.
I think that would be better. Like live characters, like pay a group of, GMs, because you're already paying GMs to like actually play as characters. And I think the Star Wars world would be like the best for that. Because you could just have like these Jedis or all these types of main characters. And imagine if they're just like the bosses of the world and they just have like insane hit points and they have to take, it takes like 100 people to kill them.
Yeah.
Like I think that's a really good, place sort of to take them.
I think that'd be an interesting twist. But like playing Old Republic, playing the beta of it, granted, I think I spent 6 hours or something like that playing it. But after about 2 hours of playing it, watching the cutscenes that are, they're well made and the voice acting seems really sound. I got to a point where I was not even paying attention to anything that was being said, and just any dialogue tree that came up, I was just hitting the one key because that's the light side choice every time. So.
But you know what? What you're describing to me doesn't sound any different than Mass Effect.
Yes. Yeah.
That sounds like Mass Effect to me.
I guess, but like with Mass Effect, like they're kind of writing one story and it's you there playing it. I think in a group, especially if you got voice chat going, like you're there, someone has to get off in half an hour, so you need to get the quest going, and you end up in this situation that people might want to rush through that stuff. And the example I kind of keep giving is like I didn't need like a 5-minute cutscene that at the end said go get 6 cat teeth. That was it was pretty extreme.
I can see that.
So I think they have to be careful with
I
it.
certainly skip through the text for the most part when I'm going through an MMO. I get like, how do you replay that too?
Yeah.
Like when you want to roll a new character, restart the game. Like where do you?
I think it's a situation where if you're in a group, everyone has to vote to skip.
Really?
That might be how it works. I'm not sure. I didn't really mess
I
around
can
with the
see
group
that
mechanics.
getting as bad with like rolls on
Right.
loot, where it's like, you can't have that. Like oh my god, are you really gonna make us watch this?
Yeah.
Why did we bring along Ryan?
What's going on?
You
Nothing.
suck. Is what's going on.
Yeah.
Well, we've got Morris from Philly on the line. Morris, are you there?
Is that TK421?
Yes, I am. I'm here.
Morris, how's it going, sir?
Pretty good. How about you, Ryan?
I'm excellent. I'm rolling around with a white Wookiee on Endor. We're gonna go fight some level 70 Ewoks.
Trying to get some of that white Wookiee. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I got a friend. He's got a card, so he can get all the white Wookiee.
Man, he is on Endor.
Nice. Get it for cheap.
Yeah.
What's your question, Mo?
My question goes out to, I guess, to Dave and I guess to you and Jeff as well. I wanted to find out when PC Universe Online out for the PC, you guys you really into it, and now that it's free to play, do you think kind of getting defeat, or is that a good thing or bad?
You skipped out a bunch there. I imagine it seemed like you were asking about DC Universe Online and going to free to play.
Yeah, when it first came out on PC, were you guys really into it? And now that it's free to play, is that a good thing, or are they kind of admitting defeat that it was a shot project?
I don't think it's admitting defeat at this point. Morris, thanks for calling and thanks for your question. But it's I think just the nature of the nature of MMOs has changed. You know, like the model that has been successful and has worked in the past. I don't know if you can still pull off the $15 a month, $50 box copy MMO anymore. I'm just not sure if that's really viable.
Or if you're gonna try to do that, you gotta really knock it out of the park. You gotta spend all that money and make something that is.
Oh man, don't fight Ewoks or giant men.
Oh God, what you got to make it worth paying for. And DC Universe Online was not a good game. Like out of the gate, the end game was really lacking. You could rush to the cap in a couple of days if you were playing it seriously at all. And I thought that game had pretty major issues at launch. So I guess I wasn't surprised to see them go free to play as soon as they did. I think that's one of those things that a lot of people are probably not necessarily thinking if they're going to go free to play. It's more when they're going to go free to play. And what the structure of the game will be at that point, if it's going to be like rolling demo, early content's free forever, pay for the rest, or they roll out episodes, or however they end up doing it.
Oh wait, I don't have a gun.
It's got to be one of those things. Are you fighting that giant man?
I'm trying to.
Did you kill that giant man?
No, I made him small.
Oh,
he's a dev.
That's a good way to fight him. Make him small first.
That's a developer. The man who is a giant man and in prone apparently works on Star Wars Galaxies.
Well, kill him.
I'm gonna try and punch him to death.
Yeah.
We found Andy. Andy, I was talking about, because we've just been talking MMOs in general, and you're a big MMO player. And I was talking about like some of your crazy Meridian days.
Yes.
Because we were talking about like sort of the great things that MMOs can be about, like that they end up becoming more social experiments more than games. And so I was kind of talking about like some of the goofball stuff that I don't even know for sure what you were doing on Meridian. But like you got into this stuff like super early.
I did. I downloaded a copy of Meridian 59 Alpha off of Aware's FTP site. And then I rarely downloaded Wares again for the next like 3 years because I was just hooked on this phenomenon.
And
you could have 100 people on the server and like play.
Did Meridian, did it have like a subscription?
It did. It was like, there was a monthly charge on it. I can't remember what it was.
Did you pay that?
I did.
Yeah.
So you're able to get the client all shady style, but to have access.
So this was the alpha.
Okay. All right.
And then when they rolled out commercial,
Then
after 3DO bought them, then
then they locked it.
Then it was a boxed price.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So what compare it, to kind of the MMOs we're seeing today, like what was Meridian 59 and what drew you to it? What got you hooked?
Well, certainly just the promise of like more than, I guess, 16 players was the maximum on a server, for like a Quake or something that was out at the time. What I still find fascinating about Meridian was that because the servers were constrained, their population were, just based on the hardware that was out, the communities actually got, the communities, there was just a lot more involvement.
Yeah!
We ended up, like I've met a lot of people that I played Meridian with, and just because they lived like down the road or something, or the next town over, and we were all in the same server together, and I wouldn't have known those people without having played that game. So the other really interesting thing is that I really think no MMO has beat the communication model in Meridian. Because there were only so many people on the server, you could actually broadcast a message out to everyone. You could set up your own dynamic user groups where you could, talk to them.
But that's fairly common. I mean, you can
chat
set up channels
and stuff like that.
You can in WoW. WoW was the first one to do that, to do like a dynamic channel. There was guild channels in like Asheron's Call and EverQuest, but you could never just set up like
custom channel.
Exactly, or if you wanted to. In EverQuest, we had several different guilds that wanted to do raiding together, and it was always a pain in the ass to communicate cross-guild. So it was like, oh, do we have enough people online? And you couldn't get like a who list or like who's online. You had to like have a list of paper somewhere and like message each person individually.
Are you here? Are you here?
Yeah.
Are you here?
And it was crazy. Whereas in Meridian, like you had a list of everyone who's online right now, and so it was really easy just to communicate and like. Start things. Now the groups were much smaller, but it was, I thought, more interesting.
By the way, this talking about these weird channels reminds me of like when I played WoW most of the time. Yeah, before I was playing with like the Giant Bomb crew and stuff.
Yeah,
I play role-playing servers just because I thought they were kind of fun. Like it was kind of goofy and like sort of crazy, but they are crazy.
Yes,
Jeff. They are crazy.
RP servers are insane.
I was on one RP.
I played one for a few hours and then thought like, do I keep playing here long enough to get banned, or do I just walk away?
Because I just went into it talking like all Shakespearean and stuff,
Absolutely,
and figured that was enough.
Yeah.
There's one I remember. They were in. It was like a really hardcore like role playing server. You had to do this whole role playing quest to like get in the guild, but they had a weird like subgroup that was made up of a bunch of like the different guilds, where it was like a weird like S&M sex thing in WoW, and I was like, I can't believe that this exists. And it was the only time I've ever like seen anything like that in a game, and I was like, it weirded me the fuck out. And I immediately went to a PvE server.
You ran screaming. Didn't even want to interact with other players at all. You're like, just get me as far away from.
I thought we were all just like acting and doing some weird Shakespearean shit, and then it was like just weird. I was like, this is nothing. I want nothing to do with this. I need to get out of here.
Wow. That's wow.
So that's what the weird separate channels, good and for bad.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. That sounds like a
I
rough
wonder if
scene.
they keep logs on all that stuff. They have to.
They have to.
There has to
what
be
if,
weird
what if the
stuff
cops
that
need
happens in
something
WoW,
for, what if something super illicit happens and they need to know? They must log everything.
Well, wasn't there that incident
like
about a year ago?
People trading white Wookiee.
Yeah.
There was an incident about a year ago where two kids planned a murder of another teenager, like a girl, on WoW, and I think Blizzard
They were able to
complied
pull the
and
logs,
sent the chat logs that proved like they were conspiring. It was premeditated.
Yeah. So Meridian 59, you were playing that. Dave was saying that you, because of the way that the client handled information as opposed to the server, you were able to operate outside the lines of what they wanted you to be doing.
Yeah,
Were you just like hex editing the client, or did you have something sitting in between poking memory values or something, like a trainer?
There are a number of ways you could really mess with that game. And to be fair, it was kind of the first game like that of its type, and so the developers really hadn't thought all those scenarios through. So, for instance, you could. One of the things we did was connect. We made a little proxy server locally, and we connected our Meridian client to that, and then that to the actual Meridian server.
Yeah.
And on that little client, we would have buttons to do various things that would send actions directly to the server. So you could do things like teleport around the world. You could tell the server that you were at like some XY position of the current room, and you would just instantly appear there. And so we could. Meridian was a zone-based game, much like EverQuest, but much smaller zones.
Right.
And so we just had like a little pathing algorithm to figure out like, oh, I'm in this zone, I want to get to this zone. Here's all the entries and exits between of all the zones between where I am and where I'm going, and click a button and you're there.
So were you like a villain of this world? Like you talk about this small community.
Were you using that power for good or for evil?
Yeah. Like what were you doing?
Depends
Were you a reaper?
Depends who you talk to. There were times when
That's how it is, isn't it?
right.
Depends who you talk to. Yeah.
There were times when. So Meridian
Were you careful about these things? Like, I mean, I'm not
just,
talking
like,
about
brazen,
that,
where
but
you
just
just, like-
that other users, did they like see? Were they like, oh my god,
So-
that guy just teleported?
So there was a so I mean the teleportation thing, like that got fixed after a while, after people really started exploiting it. Like I give it to my friend and he gives it to his two friends, and it's then 30 people have
Some
it.
IRC channel DCC bot just distributing it to anyone who wants it.
Exactly. And eventually the 3DO gets a copy of it and like, oh shit, we got to patch this. The other great one you could do was you could send as many packets of like you attacking as fast as you could.
Yeah.
And so normally like a sword swing is rate limited to 1 a second or something. No, you could send really like 150 a second, and it sounded like a Tommy gun going off because it would play the wave. The client would actually play the wave file every time.
Awesome.
You could also there was a mod only area that was called Out of Grace, which was it was made to look like hell. It was like where they timeout zone.
Yeah.
But the great thing is, if you would go in and blank out that particular room from the data file of the rooms, like data file, if you were teleported there, you wouldn't actually end up there. You'd end up in your hometown, and so like the admins could never do anything to us.
That sounds pretty awesome. We got Paul from Brooklyn on the line. Paul, what's
Hi,
up?
can you hear me?
Paul,
Yeah.
we can hear you loud and clear. How you doing, sir?
Super well. How about yourself?
Well, I'm playing Star Wars Galaxies.
So my question is, I was wondering if any of you guys can remember any notable or interesting MMO closure events like this in the past?
Well, the Matrix Online was pretty amazing.
Notable
I don't know if
MMO
you,
closure events.
Witnessed that.
Yeah, but we broadcast the end of Matrix Online. Thanks for calling in, Paul. You guys, any of you ever played any?
I mean,
MMO
Tabula Rasa
down
had
down
a
to the
famously
end?
insane kind of end of game scenario
We definitely,
where everyone lost.
I think I was on Meridian the last day that it closed at 3DO. I think I was on UO the last day it closed at Origin EA.
Right. That's still up though. That's they I don't know if they put it back up.
Yeah,
or
I think they put it
they're
back
running
up
it again.
or something.
Yeah.
That game has a lot of rogue servers out there too. People have
Right.
reverse engineered the protocol and actually have created like all the server infrastructure again. I think that's it.
Wait, were you around for like Shadowbane when it finally died?
I wanted nothing to do with Shadowbane at that point in my life.
Well, I remember Shadowbane was one of the first ones that kind of resurrected, because it died, and then it was gone for like a year, and then I remember it came back as
Wolfpack. Well, they weren't called Wolfpack at that point. They were called. I can't remember the name.
Yeah.
They kind of reformed after the whole Ubisoft acquisition, and bought the rights to the game back, and then operated it independently for a while.
But yeah, talking about hacking online games, it was not quite the same situation, but Phantasy Star Online, I mean, it was a 4-player online game, but it had chat lobbies that would hold like 20 players, and we'd group up from there and go off into a game. And if you had a Game Shark, like everything was happening client side in that game. There were very few server side checks for what you were doing. So once you got off into a game, if you wanted to have infinite hit points and infinite stock of spells or scrolls or any other item, basically, you could just create items out of the blue, and that was a lot of fun. Good way to ruin the game. But the best thing you could do, well, best/worst, is there were codes to basically allow you to cast spells or cast your text in the chat lobbies, which was not normally possible. And the server didn't know what to do with it. So you would get in there, hit the button, and you'd bring down a whole block.
Oh,
Like
wow.
you bring down like an entire portion of the game.
That was like Diablo with the town.
Right,
like
exactly,
When you'd be able
yeah.
to kill people in town, and everyone's
Yeah.
like, "What the hell's going on?"
Yeah. There was a similar bug in Meridian. Meridian only snapshotted to disk or backed itself up every
Right.
2 hours.
Oh.
And so there was an actual like pause event in the game every 2 hours where it like stopped for 30 seconds. And everyone got a message. The server's saving
Ryan, are you
state.
role playing?
Yeah, we're having a crawl party.
Seems reasonable to me.
Everybody get prone.
CQC later.
Oh no!
Oh no, that's
Giant.
So we're hanging out with a dev right now, so he can just do whatever magic shit he wants. So he just made me giant. I win! 1, 2, 3, pin!
well, I start going all fast.
Yeah, that's the developer there,
Okay.
Rotha Destruct. Oh, now we're going to again.
So what could you do with the?
So there were. So if you could figure out how to crash this, if you died, right? So Meridian had horrible death penalties. So you die, you lose a hit point, which is like a level.
Yeah.
Right. You lose everything in your inventory. It just drops at your feet.
Anybody can pick it up, right?
Yeah, whoever can pick it up picks it up.
Man.
No, it was rated in like a split second.
You would kind of have to hope that one of your friends was right
But that's
there.
like old mud style is what I mean.
Right,
Like, that's
yeah.
where Corpse
Yes.
Run comes from. You
Yeah.
call somebody
Yes.
up at like 3 in the morning. You're like, I died.
You gotta,
You gotta
get it. You gotta help
I
me.
got Sword
Yeah.
of Epic Protection. Like, we've got to go get it. you know?
Right. But because the game state wasn't saved, so like if you died and it figured out a way to kill the server, it would bounce back up with the like hour ago.
So
save
anytime you
state.
died, you just had it reset?
Well, there was a time when that happened, yeah.
How did you actually die, though?
if you were running all
Yeah,
this
and
stuff,
you could one-hit somebody.
Well, these were all different times during the game,
sure.
but there were a lot of guild wars in Meridian. That was like the most memorable aspect of it. And because death penalties were so harsh, right? It actually meant something if you killed somebody on the other team, like so to the point where every character had a bio. You right-click on them and you see like whatever's in that text area, and you would list out everyone you killed and you put them in there, and that was
Right.
like your trophy. There weren't achievements or anything. It was
you
like
weren't getting ears.
who,
It was just, here's the.
who I killed, right?
Yeah.
And so you have these huge,
He totally ran like the Thieves Guild of Meridian.
It's pretty awesome.
Who was your arch enemy? I'm sure you got to remember his name.
There were a few, yeah. There were a few. One of the guys that still plays, his name was Brobb, B-R-O-B-B. He cheated about as much as I did.
That's what made it so hard.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, if he's hitting you 100 times.
At that point, it's
Exactly.
just like two magicians fighting, you know?
Yeah. I mean, probably one of the funniest things we did. We a lot of the player killing scene. Certainly, you had like buff characters fighting against each other and everything. A lot of it was based on like low-level characters with high-level spells. And so as soon as you start off with 20 hit points, as soon as you got to 30 hit points, you could kill another player. And if you murdered somebody, your name turns red, and then you never get to restore your innocent flag. And so if you drop below that 30-point threshold, you can correct. You can still kill people, right? And so what people would do is they would simply load up an inventory with like a few reagents to cast a spell, to cast whatever like attack spell they needed to do.
Yeah.
And they would run around on this 30 hit point character, and you could kill somebody with 100 hit points, max level, in 4 or 5 spells. And so you go up behind them and you just hit them, and if they're not paying attention, you get a couple shots and they die, right?
Yeah.
And so a lot of the player killing was done on mule accounts or secondary accounts.
Right. You just get them up to 30 hit points and then just go attack.
Yeah, and
these
that was
guys
that was part of the rush because you can only take like 1 or 2 hits yourself. What we figured out though is there was a spell called Earthquake that was one of the few spells that you had to focus your casting. So you pressed the button and then you waited like a second for the effect to take place.
Yeah.
And it damaged everyone in the zone. The convenient thing though was that, and typically moving broke your concentration and interrupted your spell. The convenient thing though was if you just sent the coordinates to the server, like teleporting, it didn't break the spell. And so you could actually focus casting in an area where it was legal to cast a spell in, and then teleport to an inn where there was no PvP or anything in the inn, and all of a sudden you earthquake the inn, and you just go back out like a bunch of times, right? And you kill people in the inn, and everyone's like, "What the fuck?" And a lot of people went AFK in the inn as well, and so it made it a prime target just to kill that guy and like collect all his shit,
take all
and then
his shit and log out.
And that was a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
It's a little tiny.
It almost seems like they should just
X-wing.
They should create a game with that idea in mind.
That you can,
and just it would have to be for smart people. Really, You're just like okay, we're going to open up a certain amount of this game to just raw manipulation.
Yep.
But you have to figure it out.
Yep.
And
that's the name of the game.
Raw manipulation.
Yeah. You'd have
RMO.
to. Where can you get a scoring mechanism though? Like you'd need some real.
Like a real leaderboard.
Yeah, like if it's, if it's not necessarily just about killing, though it could be. I mean.
Well, maybe you have like multiple leaderboards. Maybe there's the kind of standard numbers-based leaderboard for kills or something like that, and you set that up in such a way that can't be faked. You actually have to get those kills, and then you have an alternate leaderboard or something that is done where there's a system of human judges that look upon what you've done and go, "That was really fucking fun."
Yeah.
You get like 50 points for doing this to the game.
Human judge, and that's where my voice component comes in.
Yeah.
So I was saying I wanted an MMO game where the GMs are living characters that they are the only people that can use voice command, and you have to get like people that like want to act. Because I think that would be fun
actors.
to have like these named characters.
Sure.
Like they're the boss characters in the world.
And like actually running events and things.
And it's like you have no idea where they are. Like you've got good guys. Like because everybody remembers the great thing with like Ultima Online was when Lord British got killed.
Right. Yeah.
Somebody stole the dagger. Like you weren't allowed to bring any weapons. Somebody stole it from a guard and then killed Lord British.
Yeah.
Like that's like
a legendary
amazing.
moment in the history of the genre.
Yeah.
Like players just saying, "Oh, fuck this, man. We're gonna find a way."
Yeah. Like
and,
you need to
make
have
it happen.
that ability. Like I want villains. I want somebody that I really just hate.
Oh god,
they had something like that. I mean, in Matrix Online, they would have events where I believe they would have players playing the roles of like Morpheus and like some people from the movie or something like that, and get in the game and kind of interact with people, but it just seems like such a weird thing where it's just like I have to play Morpheus, and it's like this weird, shoehorning this dude into this game. And he's the guy from the movie, so everyone cares, but it's like, I don't know, it seems hard.
I think if you really want to hate someone, though, you can't be on a server with 10,000 people because it's too easy to never see that guy again, right? Like. There's times in WoW where it's like, oh, you see someone in town one time and like
you can fix that by just having faction control. To a certain point, like real actual.
You mean like
player cities,
like Dark Age of Camelot, like realm faction control?
No, because that was just in sort of the big PvP area. I'm just talking about like the actual real major world, right? And like I would start, if I were to make game, I would have like a donut. In the middle of that donut is where like it's free. That's where everybody spawns and stuff. But then it's from there. It's equal distance to get to any other like main area of the game. Like each other group, every player controlled group.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, how can you actually, which side are you going to get to? And like everybody sends their ambassadors to try and like recruit players into it. But it's like trying to control, these small borders in this small little zone, even though you can have like far outside and all these cities and these borders where you have all these fights out there. I think that'd be really neat, where the only way that you can explore the game is to kind of get into these sort of ugly zones.
Right. I think the hard thing with that, just with the realities of how this stuff seems to work out is like the commitment involved from individual players, like probably goes up exponentially in cases like
That's
that.
true, but that's like MMOs. You know, that's what kind of maybe sets. At the end of the day, that's kind of why people play MMOs versus other games. They want that sort of. They're willing to spend that time to get that kind of gameplay that you're not going to.
There's
get
probably
in
only
other
like a
spots.
subset of people that are going to be like super hardcore enough to spend the time to like run something like that. But you know, it's like I mean, each game's going to have its guilds and stuff like that. But
that's why you need to be protected.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you know.
Pasquale is on the line. Sir, are you there?
Pasquale, how's it going?
It's going pretty well. It's going Star Warsy.
Yeah, it is. We're on Theed now.
I'm traveling to Feed.
Okay, I'm already here.
Well, I'll get there. Don't you worry about
Well, hurry up, man. We're all here. I'm hanging out with Dude Baka.
Dude Baka is looking pensive.
And it is messed up here.
it. Oh man, look at that ship.
We got a giant ship.
That's one of those ships.
I don't. It's.
I blew up
don't
one
know.
of those in
but
X-Wing
shit's exploding
or
over here.
B-Wing.
B-Wing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was there a Y-Wing expansion? I was trying to say.
Y-Wing was in the game.
It was in the game.
Yeah, and then you got a B-Wing expansion.
Was there an A-Wing expansion? What were the other expansions in that game? Why am I having so much trouble with this? It seems like
B-Wing was the one. B-Wing was a lot of fun.
Imperial Pursuit.
So should I ask my question?
No.
Yeah, go ahead. What's up?
So as much as I like playing the current type of MMOs, being the WoW theme park style, I miss Matrix Online and stuff like this, proper player interaction. Will that ever come back, or are we kind of moving past that?
Dave, what do you think?
I'm sorry, I
couldn't hear real well over here.
Oh, asking kind of the difference between the theme park feel of something like WoW and the more player interaction based experiences like this or the Matrix Online. Do you think that it's just all going to go towards WoW stuff, or?
I think the MMOs that are out there, they're going to split into a couple different ways. You're going to see a lot of these free-to-play ones that focus on very specific things. Like you're talking about that Warhammer one. There's a lot of other free-to-play MMOs that are of that style that are basically now just becoming like arena-based games that are basically like Battlegrounds or something like that. You're going to have these very gameplay-specific ones that are these fraction small ones, and then you're going to have the sort of guys, and I think it's going to be rarer and rarer of those large level, we are going to try and do everything and have this big, huge explorable world versus like a level to level style mechanic.
I think like I think the future of the genre absolutely kind of hangs in the balance with Old Republic. You know, if that does well and manages to stay popular for a good length of time, I think that will probably be the thing that leads to someone else going like, well, if they can do that, we can do this, and go and spend all that money and do all that stuff again.
You can topple the king. You know, like
yeah.
there will always be one or two of these things that are sitting at the top, but like you can build that big, all-encompassing.
But I think if Old Republic comes out and 90 days later, it's like not looking as strong as it did out of the gate. You know, I think the genre.
I don't think we've ever seen a full recovery of an MMO that I can think of. You've definitely seen games when they come back after, an expansion pack or something along those lines. But I can't think of thinking those old MMO graphs. Remember the guy that used to build that
on
one?
Slashdot, yeah.
I can't think of one. Obviously, you have the free-to-play stuff. When they switch to becoming a free-to-play game, you get it back, but that's questionable.
Yeah. The money you're spending to keep the servers up to that number of players then has to turn into, what number of players do you have that are spending tons of money versus spending no money.
I think
you're talking beyond just like having a bad opening week or two of launch, right? And just like bugs.
I just mean, is there an MMO that's made a comeback? Like it started and did whatever it did and didn't do very well, and then it suddenly became good again, even if it fell later. Like I can't really think of a lot of games other than like the Carrie, you got one you're thinking?
Well, DC Universe, when it went free to play, got like 1 million new members.
But yeah, like when they go free to play, they always get that sort of.
There's always been an influx of people.
That's. I think a lot of them do that, but they're not necessarily gaining huge
It doesn't equate to money coming in.
Yeah, and it's
that then
always-
funds
yeah.
further development and
Yeah.
that sort of stuff. It kind of just the scale changes at that point.
I'd be interested in see what like UO's growth curve look like, because
Sure.
I think like a lot of people at that point, like even a lot of the hardcore people, were still kind of just exploring the genre for the first time, and I assume that probably for the first year it was kind of going up. I don't know for certain, but that's just my assumption.
Right.
Beyond that, though, I can't think of any that.
I think really where it needs to go, and you saw WoW. I don't think WoW knew it yet, but I think the next really big MMO, they're going to think of the actual game as a game platform itself. Meaning like the engineers behind it will sit there and realize we are building an engine that needs to be rebuilt every year, like the actual core engine to it. And the really hard part with these games is most of the time when they do these expansions, they're actually expanding their feature set, their art assets, and those are all things that can't, when you keep expanding out now, you're spending so much more time just on maintenance, you can't rebuild things over. I mean, it's just a general thing in engineering. Like, we have the same problem with the sites.
Yeah.
It's like, before we used to be extremely, extremely rapid. We also didn't have to, like, if we wanted to do a redesign, we didn't have to go through the 10 other features that we, sort of tacked on post that original launch.
Right.
But I think somebody's going to figure that out, because I think you can get an MMO that can live kind of forever if you want it, or at least for a really long cycle.
So essentially, you're talking about like metaverse level,
Yeah.
Neil Stephenson, where it's like, you can buy property and like then in your property build whatever, like kind of like at the code level build interactions and experiences and art and all that kind of stuff.
I'm just saying, you can't have the next level of game can't have Star Wars Galaxies, Star Wars The Old Republic coming out and looking at WoW and saying, look, we've made it, better than WoW. Like, I'll tell you,
It
the
has to be
features
like
are never going to be that.
generational. It
Yes.
has to be like something revolutionary, not just we have cleaned up this game design even further.
And Cataclysm kind of did that a little bit, but
Yeah, but I think the real problem is that these games require such an investment, and not just monetary, but like actual time and bodies, that it is absolutely impossible for Star Wars to come out and be a better game than WoW is. Absolutely impossible, right? Because Blizzard already has 4 years of built-up content and value, everything in that world.
Yeah, if you haven't played any of that stuff, like you're able to jump in and experience kind of all that. But if you've played a lot of it before or something like it's kind of the problem with expansions. The problem with adding new content to an existing game is, everyone's going to see that once, or if they play alternate characters, they'll see it twice. Or something
you're
like
absolutely
that. But
right.
it's like all that money has to be spent to generate all those assets and write all that quests, and now with Old Republic, write all that dialogue and all that stuff.
I'm just really saying, like, you can't. There needs to be a game that doesn't go EverQuest 1 to EverQuest 2. There needs to be a game that just says it's EverQuest, and EverQuest 2, all the advances that you got in EverQuest still exist in the world of, or that you get in EverQuest 2 exist in the world of EverQuest 1, and it's a natural movement. And I think WoW's certainly done the best at that by kind of reinventing itself, by like taking these things, we're going to redestroy the world, but it's still the same game. But like, you've still, at its core level, haven't had, I'm sure they've changed, they probably rebuilt their engine a couple times just for performance reasons or things like that. But the main gameplay mechanic, they've kind of stuck to.
Yep.
They've tweaked things. I think they purposefully changed that game to keep people interested in it.
But at the same time, like along the development of World of Warcraft, didn't they also trivialize almost all of the starting content? Like by accelerating the curve of leveling, like you get to the higher levels in that game like that. Like no one goes to Westfall anymore, right?
Yep.
If you went and played that game today, like it's still there, right?
Well, it's actually you know.
But you might not ever see it.
But
Well, that's what they did in Cataclysm. They went
was
through
really
and
good.
kind of changed a lot of areas. They went through and raised the level cap on like an area from level 20 to level 50, and
So you might not see that spot until somewhere else in your
And it made you really want to go back and see all these things. Like, wow, it's
because
changed.
towns have been moved, and like now there's splinter cells all over the place. And
is that the slogan? Wow, it's changed.
Yeah. But I think that there's going to be one that, it's like everybody's saying. It's like, oh, well, Blizzard has a next MMO.
Yeah.
Everybody's gonna have a next MMO. I think at a certain point, one of these games is just going to be, it'll figure it out.
I hope so. Because I don't think from a business perspective it makes sense to keep going bigger and bigger and bigger, and Old Republic's cost them a lot of money to make.
Yeah.
And it's a real big risk for that company. And there aren't too many more companies out there left that could make a bigger bet than what EA has done.
Yeah.
So if this hits big, like someone will find the money and try and do it. But if it doesn't, no one's ever going to try that.
And think
again,
of it
right?
like in a larger, like sort of economic sense. Like EA's out there saying like these style of very deep, large, expensive games are still very profitable and stuff, and they're dealing with the Zyngas of the world who are building these weird MMOs that are not, they're like casual and they're MMOs. They have the social interactions, but they're a lot cheaper. A lot cheaper to make.
Right.
And so it's really scary, like out there, like how does this market? How long does it last?
Right.
Can it last forever? Will there always be people that sort of play these games, especially when you have the younger market playing those sort of earlier ones?
And the games in the middle will just get eaten alive. Games like like Rift or Age of Conan or something like that, where it's just like they launch and immediately spike back, go back down. Like you played Ion for like a month, and it's like that's good, good tourist sort of thing.
I
Let's
played
go back to
did the same thing with Age of Conan, and they all they all do the same thing. They release their game, they've got like a lot of hype, it works for about 3 months, then people start dying off, and they all realize their combat, it happened to this game. They realize, oh, our combat's not, what we want it to be. Hey, we've got new combat, Star Wars, or Star Trek, right? Every single one of the games, they go through the same exact thing. It's like, all right, we now have new combat engine, and it doesn't.
And it's kind of too little too late.
Yeah, and like they get like a little tiny bump sort of back. They'll get people like me who are just kind of curious connoisseurs of MMOs to sort of play these games again. But then it's tough. It's
once
really
you've
tough
lost
to bring them back.
the focus of the wide audience, once you've started to that downward trend, like you said, it's real hard to get that back.
And I'm sure from the from the actual maintenance of these things too, they're huge, large teams, big, giant teams to start them up. But the actual maintenance team doesn't need to be as much, and you don't need really artists around if you're maintaining
if you're maintaining and not necessarily building stuff. I know, sometimes the free-to-play stuff works out real well. I know, what was it, Lord of the Rings Online?
Yeah,
did real well.
That's true. That's
Turbine.
actually
Like when they
that's a good example to that one that we were kind of talking about. Like has one sort of that one definitely did. I could never really get deep into that one either. Strange.
We're going to the racetrack.
Can do some pod racing.
I don't know.
When you race the racetrack?
We're on Theed, and there's a battle, but I'm not like aligned with any faction, so
you don't care.
So I kind of don't give a shit about that. So we're gonna go to the racetrack.
Speaking of pod racing, you know what I downloaded yesterday?
What? Pod Racer?
Racing.
Pod.
You remember Pod?
Yeah.
MMX technology.
Yeah.
Like the first pod.
Nice. How's it look?
It looks like MMX.
Yeah.
I remember that game having like really good online at the time, and so it's
How's the online
it's
work
like
now?
one of those things. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
There's no servers.
IPX/FPS network.
Sure. Yeah, I just went looked it up.
Was that did you like buy that off Good Old Games? Did you find?
I did
disc?
because they had
Like,
that big crazy
Okay.
sale. So I was like, anytime you can buy 11 games for $30.
Sure. Kind of doesn't matter what the games are at that point. You're like, all right, whatever.
It's like, I'm gonna, roll with it.
Ryan, we've got Ryan on the line from
Ryan,
Portland.
how's it going?
Hey guys, what's going on?
I don't know. Watching this
cruising.
dude play Star Wars.
I'm rolling on Naboo, trying to get to the racetrack.
Can you go kill all the Gungans?
Oh, you sure?
I think the Imperials are currently killing all the Gungans, so we don't have the means right at this moment. Although I'm not aligned with the Rebels or the Imperials either, so
You're
I kind of
you're just a smuggler. You
kind
don't
of
care.
care.
You just want money.
Ryan, what's your question?
My question is there any franchise or IP, you know, be it books, movies, anything, that you would love to turn into some sort of MMO?
I would really love, like, let's get off the fantasy sci-fi kick. I want to see you try and make an MMO in a setting that isn't one of those. Like, that's the challenge, right? Like, you can do sci-fi, you can do fantasy. Can you make an MMO work and be, you know, meaningful outside of those kind of genres?
Yeah. Ryan, thanks for your call. Is there any franchise?
World War II Online was there for a long time. Well,
Yes, Perry from the chat over there.
Perry from the chat. Perry, go ahead.
World War II Online was very successsul for a long time. That was not a fantasy sci-fi.
But is there something you'd like to see? I mean, as a person,
Is there some property that you think Achewood, perhaps?
I'd like to see a GTA MMO. I think that could be really
APB?
fun.
Yeah, that's what APB was.
Well, they keep talking about Skyrim or Elder Scrolls MMOs and Fallout MMOs, but those seem pretty obvious because those games are already single-player MMOs already. But I don't know. No, I think MMOs are just a specific thing.
Yeah, I think
it's non-sci-fi, non-fantasy.
No, nothing off.
I think the problem when you go with
Sherlock Holmes.
There you go.
I want like
Everyone is Sherlock
I want a
Holmes.
crime
Yes.
one where it's like you're like a detective. You're trying to figure out who the bad guys are, and
So you
there are
want-
bad guys. Like there are a limited amount of bad guys in the world, and they walk amongst us.
You want Carmen Sandiego, the MMO?
I want Clue. I want fucking Clue.
Clue, the
That's what I
MMO.
want.
I think that, you know, when you get into licenses with an MMO, you get tied to so much existing fiction, and people have such affinities for specific characters that it really gets in the way. You know, you end up in these situations where, you know, it's like, I mean, they have to put friggin' Han Solo on the screen in this game for the smuggler thing so that you can hit a button and go like, yeah, Han Solo, that's a guy right there. I should try to be more like him. You know, as opposed to just kind of going and doing your own thing and kind of building your own fiction, which is, you know, probably has its extreme challenges as well. But I think in the end, if you can pull that off, probably leaves you with the ability to kind of do whatever you want. Like, you know, there are things in a Star Wars game that they'll just never be able to do because it has to fit in the Star Wars universe. And I think that's they end up kind of hamstrung. But I think a wrestling MMO.
We're open world wrestling, like
Open
on
world,
the corner of
professional
the town
wrestling
that you live in, could
MMO.
at any
Just
moment
in the
could
locker
be
You
room.
build a luchador, and yeah, you have in-ring.
I want to be the
instances.
manager to your wrestler.
Yes, that's
I want to
totally
be
a
your
character
like
class.
hype man.
Yeah, it's the
Yes.
support role. Of
Exactly. Yes, I
standing
can
out
be a
there,
healer. I can
and
finally
you
I
buff,
can be a
you
healer
buff from
again.
outside the
I'm done.
ring.
I'm there. That's right.
Interesting suggestion from Javiso is a Red Dead MMO, like a Western style.
Yeah, Western would be probably pretty interesting.
Are
Like,
you on a golf course, Ryan?
but what are your classes
I'm on
in a
Naboo.
Western MMO? It's cowboy
Textures,
and
man. Indian.
whore. Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
not to,
yes,
not to
yes.
be racist.
Sure,
but
doctor,
yeah.
general store.
Good question here.
Yeah,
Lee
like
Olsen.
shopkeeper.
Yeah.
You send up that Ultima Online situation where it's just like, I'm just gonna bake this bread, yo.
Can you be Dr.
Mining.
Quinn, medicine woman?
There's a good question from Sticky Pennies. What do you think is the next MMO to shut down completely? His bets are on Star Trek Online. Seems like a good candidate, probably.
The next shutdown?
It's what are you betting on the next one to do? The thing
City of Heroes.
The thing is, LOTR just dropped. Well, LOTR went free to play, and they like 10 timed.
Yeah,
10
yeah.
timed their revenue. So
Yeah,
I'm feeling a lot more.
They made the
MMOs
money
than
happen.
that.
I think Star Trek's around for years to come.
Even with is it Atari, right?
It's transitioned off of Atari.
Oh,
I
okay.
think they sold it off to
Hey-o.
somebody, didn't they?
I don't know.
I think Atari.
Thanks for
Because
supporting.
Atari sold Cryptic.
This is so heavy.
Oh,
Oh God.
I don't know, Rift? Rift maybe?
Oh my God!
Oh
Wow.
my God! Look how bald I am. Oh God. Oh, fuck you, Vinny.
No, that was me.
This is why we can't have nice things.
This is why we have nice things. The game just crashed on me.
No, it didn't.
This is your wallpaper?
That's
no,
not
this
a
is the
moon.
browser.
No, don't pick his nose.
Great.
Let's see now. Would the guys play an Escape from New York MMO?
Yes.
The thing is, you never escape from New York.
Right.
You would have to just be in New York the entire time.
Yeah.
The end goal, that'd be a post-apocalyptic MMO.
I think that there's something to be said for like urban street crime MMO. But you end up in that situation where everyone's a criminal, and who wants to play the cops in that situation? Like the thing with APB is they had to make the cops look exactly like the criminals so they could be cool too.
Well, it's the Batman Arkham City thing too.
Yeah, sort of.
But I mean, in Escape from New York, you'd have Ernest Borgnine as a boss. That'd be awesome.
That would be awesome.
Or Harry Dean
So I think
Stanton.
you make your GTA MMO, you make your street crime MMO, and all the cops are mods, GMs.
Or just make them super powerful. Like there's a lot less of them, because then you'll want to play that. And it's like you have to be a really good, bad guy to become a cop.
Yeah.
Again, all these suggestions for MMOs that we're getting from the chat is Life Strike says a big well-known IP that's outside the norms of James Bond. But then how do you? I guess
are you just assigned a 00 number?
It'd be 00,1,200,000 whatever. If you
It's like you can't all be spies out there killing stuff and the supervillain path of I'm going to hang out here and tell you too much about my plan.
Dr. No, 2147.
Yeah, it's not true to the fiction at some point.
That's my grief with Star Wars MMOs in general. Like it's, being a smuggler is kind of like neat because Han Solo was such a great character, but in the end of the day, like I think so many people just want to be Jedis.
Right.
And so how do you balance that? How do you and how do you balance that against the lore of the universe where these Jedis are supposed to be kind of all powerful beings?
Well, they're all powerful.
It's like we were talking about earlier, just like the lightsaber itself is a shit. It's like Superman. It's hard to make a good Superman video game. It's hard to make lightsabers behave the way they actually act in the fiction, because then it just cuts through everything at all times.
Right.
And
like this
with no
wall here,
arms.
I should just be able to cut down the wall. Right?
Exactly.
Jump away.
Yeah.
I'll be back later when everything falls apart.
Dave is escaping.
Dave made the smart decision.
Yes.
Got out while he could.
How's this going? How's this game? I played this game for like 2 weeks right after it came out and then never touched it again.
At launch? Wow.
Yeah.
Does this look like it looks to you? Does
I had a
this look
Wookiee.
familiar to you?
I remember the graphics being really good, but this does not look really good.
Could you be a Wookiee at launch? I thought that was
You could be. Maybe I went to Kashyyyk.
I don't think you could.
I thought you could be a
They
Wookiee.
put out there was an expansion called like Rage of the Wookiees or something, right?
I remember being, maybe I was, I remember going to Tatooine and it was being completely empty.
Star Wars Galaxies Episode 3, Rage of the Wookiees.
Wow.
Second expansion.
like
Called
how
Episode 3, but it's the second expansion.
So you couldn't, maybe I played a Bosk. Remember Bosk, the lizard bounty hunter?
Hey Ryan, do something exciting.
No, either.
Working on it, dude. I'm in the middle of a race right now.
What's that blue stuff? Can you float up to the sky in there?
No, that's my next checkpoint.
Oh, you are literally in a...
Oh, is this one of those like open world races where you got to go through all the flags like Assassin's Creed?
Or,
yeah, it is a checkpoint race.
Those are the worst missions of every game.
Looks really fun.
A lot of people asking about Guild Wars 2. What do you think it's going to do? How you think it's going to do for?
That's not an MMO, but that looks awesome.
It's closer to an MMO than the
This
first
time
one
it is,
was, but I mean it is still kind of instanced off and.
It's as much of an MMO as like Lineage was, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, like that kind of stuff, like going out and having adventures with friends is kind of fun.
Yeah,
Like that
I mean,
part-
I would
like
probably
that.
rather do that.
Yeah.
I am extremely excited about Guild Wars 2. I haven't been following it super closely.
Well, have you heard they don't have roles so much? Like there's no healers at all. Everybody does damage. They're responsible for basically healing themselves.
Yeah.
Which is interesting if they can pull it off.
So it's like Diablo. It is, in that case, it's like Diablo. You have some potions and shit.
But
like
you know,
that.
we saw that at not
You're
this
like
last
Diablo.
PAX, but I guess the PAX before that got a
PAX
demo of that.
East.
PAX East, yeah.
PAX East this year.
Looks really nice.
Graphically,
and-
even the first Guild Wars.
Yeah,
was a
yeah.
beautiful game.
I really enjoyed the first Guild Wars, and no monthly fee, so terrific.
And you can start playing as soon as you click that download button.
Right? Yeah.
That was
Wow.
amazing.
Yeah.
Whenever you saw that for the first time, it's like, Holy shit, it's downloading
The
the background and I'm
client.
streaming in and all these assets
World of
are just
Warcraft
appearing.
can do that now.
Now
can't
it can, yeah.
Really?
But it was Wrath of the Lich King, I think, that added that.
Yeah,
So it's
but
3 expansions.
it'll actually
in.
stop your download though. If you, nobody I know would ever bother
playing it like
popping
that.
in because
Right.
it doesn't. You have to exit and go back if you want the full experience.
Yep.
I remember when I first got an EVDO card.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was like we were going to E3 and everybody had to get good access stuff, and they gave them to us. The IT department doled them out, and then like riding home that day, I'm like, I'm gonna fucking play Guild Wars on this thing and just see how it works. And I didn't have it installed, so it's like as soon as we got in the car, I hit like let's play Guild Wars. Had to sit there and stream for a while, but by the end of that car ride, I was totally playing Guild Wars.
Nice.
It's the future, man.
If Nintendo starts going downhill,
The good use of that EVDO bandwidth.
Hey man,
You get paid like 300 megabytes a month back then,
I
right?
don't care.
Bassman2112 says, if Nintendo starts going downhill, do you think their panic button will be to launch a Pokemon MMO? Personally, I think Nintendo is going to stay as far away from. I don't think they know the internet. I don't think they care about the internet.
Yeah, I mean, they probably will get into some kind of online Pokemon thing at some point, but it's not going to resemble an MMO in the traditional sense. And it would be on their platform, so
Yeah.
it's you know it's going to be hamstrung by whatever weird internet decisions they make with all their hardware. So
16 character friend codes,
yeah,
man.
it'll be a friend code.
If you need me, I'm 1457-6739, and then some more numbers I can't
Great,
remember.
awesome.
Your number.
Why does nobody make a game that's just like MMO raids?
Yeah,
Because like that's the
It's
fun
like-
part of MMOs
Because
to
you have
me.
to solo. Like that's what WoW taught everybody.
but
that
I
you
don't-
have to have a big solo game to get people interested.
No, I'm not saying an MMO that's just MMO raids. I'm saying a game that is just like 5 people that like to do big crazy boss encounters without any of the other bullshit that surrounds the MMO.
Exclusively multiplayer games are
and that content is expensive to generate. So if it's something where it's just that and they're burning through it, you're not going to be able to make enough of it for your
that's
hardcore
fair.
player base.
That's fair.
So that's probably the.
We could do like a big, like a series of dungeon crawl. I mean, I guess that's kind of what
Well,
Diablo
have you tried
is.
having
but-
good ideas? Is that something you've ever
No,
found?
man, I don't have good ideas. You should know that by now.
I bet what you could do with something like that, though, is if you went and generated a bunch of art assets, because that's really what like the hard piece is for
Yeah.
that, and then open up a scripting API or something where people outside third-party people can go in and like
You mean like Neverwinter Nights?
kind of but
Like build
actual
encounters.
much more like capable scripting encounters.
Like better tools and yeah, I can see that.
I think it's a terrible idea.
You're a terrible
Or
idea.
an awful idea. Person.
I think focusing
Gonna
on that
stab you.
5-player number though is critical.
Yeah.
Whenever you have to go up to 25 in WoW, that's what loses my interest.
Hey, can you
just
not
becomes
get
a
back into
scheduling
your
nightmare
pod?
at that
Exactly,
point.
because
And
then like, oh, I gotta get
man.
home from work.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta eat dinner at my desk. Like,
Right.
it's hard.
What's the matter, Ryan? Can't get in your pod?
How's he doing in the race? Like, what's his
I
position
think he
in the
lost.
race?
I think he's totally lost.
This looks like a really bad Call of Duty map.
This
at some
game has-
point, it's just like
Had they not invented clipping when this came out?
Nope,
Wow.
not really.
But I think I definitely think there's something to this idea of like taking portions of an MMO and sectioning it out
Well, it's the
into
thing-
free-to-play games.
yeah, they're doing that with Warhammer,
it's
right?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Warhammer. So I bring up again only because I've been playing a bunch of it.
Is it good?
It's cool.
Because it's like the battlegrounds,
It's,
right?
it's 3 teams of, I think it's 6 players apiece.
Okay.
Preset characters, and that's where they kind of get their free-to-play. Like you'll probably end up having to buy
Yeah.
characters or whatever. And then they've got tactics and skill trees and stuff that they'll put in for you to level up and
Well,
buy
that's
or
cool.
get or whatever as well.
I mean, that's
But they've built like basically these kind of battleground type scenarios of it'll be like 3-team team deathmatch or capture and hold, kind of 3 flag points or whatever, and different things like that. And it's a good way to get to that content that I was never really able to get to in an MMO because I was never willing to dedicate myself enough to either the social aspect of it or to the skill aspect of it. It's like here's these kind of preset characters you can just kind of hit a button and get in there and start playing. I just thought I think it's pretty cool.
Well, I mean, even like the WoW battlegrounds and that kind of stuff is an insane amount of time to get to a point that you're going to be moderately competitive.
What are you talking about, dude?
What?
You don't know what you're talking about. They supplement by 5 levels now.
Well, okay.
Okay,
So when
so-
I played WoW Battlegrounds, when they launched WoW Battlegrounds, in order to, you very quickly got ramped out of any kind of competitive. You either raided and you did all the stuff that was along with that, or you did the battleground stuff.
They've worked a lot on that stuff.
Okay.
Now they're actually literally like 10 to 14, 15 to 19, 20 to 24. So you're always matched up with people very close to you.
Oh, so kind of like the StarCraft stuff.
Well, there are people who by level.
No, I
mean,
think you're talking about
character level, not skill level.
I'm talking about skill and equipment, not character level.
Well, character level is up until the end game. That is basically. I mean, there are twinks who'll like stay at 19 forever and be one-shotting you, but for the most part, you can be in groups that.
So when I was playing that, I was a level whatever the max was, 60 or 65 or whatever it was at the time. And
why are you bad at games? That's my question.
I'm just terrible.
Why don't you have good ideas?
I didn't have any time to raid, man.
He just uses a Mac.
I gotta
too
work.
much.
Well, it's any kind of
Macs really suck.
I mean,
man, why are you using a Mac?
I'm not using a Mac.
You're using an old Mac.
I can't even. The Mac here ate our podcast this week, and I'm be happy never to touch a Mac ever again.
It's probably Dan's fault.
Probably.
I'm the one who set up that
Steve
Mac.
Jobs' fault from the grave, telling us about
Zombie Jobs.
Zombie Jobs.
Fucking zombie jobs.
Tell you what, this UI is pretty awesome.
You guys think there'll be
Look at all those check boxes.
Yeah.
I Snipe You
Holy
Die is talking about console MMOs. Do you ever think there'll be a good one? And will console players even want to play it, or are the people who want to play an MMO only on PC? I'm going to keep on answering the questions that I ask.
Yeah.
I just go ahead and first shot. Go ahead. I think the problem is communication. Like you can't have
Voice chat.
just chat rooms in general. Like typing is so integral to MMOs, like trading shit, auction house stuff.
Well,
you really need to type a
hotkeys.
lot. Just even like just being able
Binding
to chat.
shit to shit.
It was the big problem with DC Universe Online on the PlayStation 3 is that they did have keyboard support, so you could do that, but it didn't have proper mouse support, so you couldn't just use the HUD the way that you would on the PC version of the game or anything like that. So it was like this weird hybrid of like I've got my DualShock and I've got my keyboard, and getting to these menus sort of sucks, and the hotkeys here sort of work, but everything's really slow, and it was kind of hellish. And they didn't even cross the servers. Like they had a game that was ostensibly the same across
Oh,
platforms.
so it was PC people playing PC people?
Yes.
And oh, wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Is that a Aliens like power loader?
What? No, that's like an old school AT something.
ATST, but it looked like it had like some kind of pallet loading system on the front of it.
No, I think that's just like one of those old style like.
It's a binary load lifter.
Yeah.
See,
See.
look at this guy. See, he's got like.
Yeah.
It's
He's
like
a forklift.
Yeah, it's binary load lifter.
Yeah.
Get
It's
away from her,
similar
you
to the language
bitch.
of binary moisture evaporators.
Binary load lifter.
You're a load lifter.
You're a load.
How are you liking this game, Ryan?
It's terrible. They should probably stop making it.
Are you still in the race that you were in before?
No, I stopped that.
He's still a Rhodian, if that's what you're asking. I didn't notice
It's
that.
a Rhodian race?
It's a Rhodian race. Well, he's Rhodey running right now.
Ah.
Stop.
What? I love how the
questions. This is Havoc CX VII, which is 52 by my math. All indications point to Bungie's new thing being an MMO. What can they bring to the table to shake up the genre?
Well, I think that they've got the first-person shooter chops to make that style of game, and if they're going to try to make
Like a new
something like that
Planet-side
massive, then it starts to. At some point, you start to wonder if it is going to be something Planet-side-like.
They had a Halo MMO that was canceled, right?
Yeah.
I don't think
that wasn't them, though.
Them,
It
I don't
was
think
never
that
announced,
them,
but yeah, there's screenshots were released or leaked or whatever.
I mean, PlanetSide was kind of it wasn't the same setting. It wasn't licensed or anything, but
Right, but it
could have been a
sci-fi
Halo
first-person
MMO real
shooting.
easy. Yeah.
Yeah. Just probably put warthogs in it.
Running Man MMO is a suggestion from Outer Ables, which I kind of like. Running Man MMO would be cool.
I only want
Richard
Running Man as
Dawson's
a dual
dead.
joystick shooter. Now, if you made a MMO that was also a top-down dual joystick shooter,
What if you made an MMO that was just 80s arcade games?
Oh, I thought that had
I think that would be.
Yeah, like there's a Tempest bit, and then like one dungeon is Donkey Kong.
I think that would be kind of cool. Like that kind of setting of just make it a cyberspace MMO.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of play around with whatever you want. You could have your fantasy area. You could have your sci-fi area.
There's a whole Star Wars area in there probably somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. You just go like PlayStation Home or whatever. You start actually getting licenses and dropping them into different parts of the world. Kingdom Hearts MMO, and they just drop in different Disney and Square shit.
And then there's some Capcom stuff in there for no reason whatsoever.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
They just make the DuckTales area.
Yeah.
The Reflection wants to know, Jeff, if the wrestling MMO is made, who would be the final raid boss? It was Hollywood.
Vince McMahon.
It's what?
Vince McMahon.
Yeah, that's true.
If you do the wrestling MMOs, are there like different classes? Or like little person wrestling, and then there's like lady wrestling.
You would go
and-
like traditional big man. You would have your high flyer.
Yeah. Is there like a Greco-Roman in there somewhere too?
Yeah,
Like-
you get like your kind of.
Is it
Well, I think you
Greco-Roman?
would.
Yeah,
pick,
dudes wearing
you'd have to
garbage
pick kind
bags.
of body size and then type. So you could make a small man that wrestles in like a very Matt style submission.
Like
kind
Yoda
of dude.
in episode 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then you could have your, and different classes would mean
Oh my
different,
God.
better thing.
That town just materialized out of thin air.
That's right.
Oh my God.
Basically, the closer you get to making Kevin Nash, the more likely you are to be injured all the time.
Okay.
Yes.
I think there could ever be like a good sports MMO, like a baseball MMO, or is that just basically managerial simming?
I mean,
at that point?
yeah. They've made games where they've made sports games where there are enough players per team to where you're playing every single position on the field as a person.
Cool.
So you're just like playing. I'm just the right fielder.
Well, they've done that.
Nothing
for
got hit
soccer
to me,
too,
so I
think.
stood here.
But that's like fantasy baseball too. Like fantasy football and all that stuff is what I think a lot of people would think is the fun part of a football MMO, fantasy football. I mean, right?
Yeah.
Good one from Idros. Do you think an MMO on mobile devices, Android, iPhone, iPad, is a practical concept as a standalone product?
I think we need to like start kind of really defining what it is that we are thinking of when we say MMO. Like it's too much of a catch-all for a lot of very, very divergent types of games.
Yeah. Well, it's true because really, like Mafia Wars is an MMO because
Can you pilot Cloud City? Can you pilot
It's
it?
totally
It's
asynchronous, but
multiplayer.
Right. It definitely fits the.
Yeah.
I want to fly Cloud City. That's what I would do in this game. I'm sorry if I'm going to rant a little bit, but I would love to be the guy who runs Cloud City. And, oh my God.
You dock.
I'm hiding.
There's no
I'm a
collision
smuggler.
in this game at
Wow,
all.
look at that.
Well,
can see
keep in
me in
mind, you're
there.
not supposed to be able to fly these ships
Yeah, yeah.
in atmosphere at all. Like
Yeah,
that's something
they
they
patched
turned
it
on
today.
for the end of the game.
Oh.
So this is broken for a reason.
There's a Millennium Falcon right there on the ground. You
Collision
collide
with
with it. That's good. That is.
I'm sorry, it's a Corellian freighter.
It's a YF-23.
You're a
I think,
Corellian,
right?
right?
Corellian freighter.
Yeah.
Shoot them down. Shoot them all down.
Uh-oh.
Oh, somebody's shooting at you.
We're here playing
They've
no,
got tone.
That just means, hey, don't shoot that guy.
Oh.
What? Why?
Because it's not doing anything.
Are you on Naboo still?
Oh, wait, no, we went back. We're back here at the Sarlacc party, but it just said that Imperial forces have launched an assault on Coronet. Both the Empire and the Rebellion is calling for all soldiers and pilots to assist in the battle.
You should go there.
Go there.
Yeah.
Look at all those people running away. Can you take some of these people? Like, have friends?
Will Smith wants to know if people can have friends.
I've always wanted to have a friend.
After the Matrix MMO, this is from TV Garrett, after the Matrix MMO and the 2 console games, do you think there will ever be
Hold
any
on.
more
Look at
Matrix
that one.
games?
These people.
I'm asking a question.
I'm sorry, but people have role play tags. How pissed off are they? This is the worst day ever for them.
Yeah. Everyone's giant and flying ships
and there's
everywhere.
flaming Ewoks everywhere.
Yeah. I think the Matrix is finished. We're not going to see any more like Matrix fiction or Matrix anything at this point. It's run its course. There'll be a Matrix reboot 10 years down the road
TV
or
show.
something. Oh man.
Yeah, think about that for a little
Boba
bit.
Fett. All right, one more question, and I'll cool off on the questions for a bit.
That guy's so tall.
Midjet says, what do you guys think of representing your nation in an MMO takeover, sort of like PlanetSide, but with somewhat real geography? I think that would be the most incendiary online, like playing. You can remember, Risk is already like you have to really weigh whether you're going to be friends with somebody if you're going to play Risk with them.
Yeah.
Doing an MMO like that could probably conceivably lead to a real war.
I almost came to blows over Mexico one time.
Do you think the Chinese government would actually try to?
Oh, they would
purchase talent
dominate
in
that shit.
Yeah.
Gold farming gets really weird at that point.
Yeah.
Gold farming's already really weird.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we're gonna talk chatty. So
this game is weird. Really weird.
sterling commentary from Internet Swole Smith.
Yeah, that's what I bring.
You're still a Rhodian.
How tall is that guy?
He's tall because he gets tall.
Yeah.
Oh, TIE Bomber.
Just hanging out, doing whatevs,
Chilling.
doing what a TIE bomber do.
Get a costume.
Have you seen any Jedi yet? Are there Jedi in this game?
Here's one.
Yeah.
Oh, that's it. Okay.
If I was in the Star Wars universe, I would walk around with the Jedi robes on all the time. Just pretend.
Is that guy just a hologram?
Yeah. The Jedi Master.
I think the initial.
There we go.
Whoa, there we go. Now it popped in. That was only about 5 minutes of waiting for the actual.
It's probably because you were flying around and. I don't know.
That's why.
Yeah, that's.
I did it.
Making excuses for the game that's shutting down in 2.5 hours.
That guy's a Halo. He's an angel.
I think the initial release of this game that
guy's
it was
running
like
around
a
in his
random
underpants.
bit whether you could become a Jedi or not.
Right. Yeah. You had to like get to this.
It was
point
a
to figure out
mystery.
if you were force sensitive or not.
Yeah, and it was just like, was it just account based or like?
It was.
You had one Jedi slot.
No. That was well before that. They had to get holocrons.
Right.
And it was only you had to get like a certain combination. Nobody knew what it was, and it was really complicated and bizarre.
Oh, because this launched with the weird skill tree where you could be like a healer or a dancer or a, oh yeah.
And they had to justify all kinds of crazy, boring bullshit. But
Entertainer's still a.
How'd you get to be a Gungan?
What? I came and talked to Bib Fortuna. He's
pay
giving out
attention, Will
costumes.
Smith.
Man, that model looks much higher. It's Lando.
You're Lando.
Works
Kinda.
every time.
60% of the time.
Hey man, how you doing?
Ice cold Colt 45 is what I
Who's
can
on the
use.
line?
How you doing? Who is this?
I think you clicked on Lando, and I think
Yeah,
you said
Lando,
it.
talk to you, man.
Do we have a caller?
We do not have a
Death
caller.
Star.
I think we had a caller.
I think
Lando.
Silver's on the line, I'm told.
Okay.
Silver.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Pretty good.
Doing
How's it
okay.
going? How's Kansas City?
Wichita, but pretty
How's
decent.
but
how's
I'm asking
Kansas
you,
City?
how's Kansas City?
Pretty
Answer the
boring this
goddamn
time of
question. What's going on, Silver? What do you want?
Well, you mentioned getting out of fantasy and sci-fi and MMOs. What do you think of the secret world in the current time?
Yeah.
It's today, so.
Yes, that is a good question. The Secret World, it looks pretty cool. It's, Funcom is doing that. EA's putting it out.
SeaWorld?
The Secret World.
Yeah, SeaWorld.
SeaWorld.
Yeah, SeaWorld. The
Was it
MMO.
SeaWorld MMO?
Is Shamu the boss?
Yeah. No, you are Shamu. Everyone. You have to find out if you're whale sensitive. Collect all these holocrons.
Wow.
And then from there. Secret World
Holy
sounds
shit.
like it could be interesting. Like, I guess the basic idea is
really
that
fat.
it's one of those things where you're living in a world where every single conspiracy is true.
That was a massive job of the Hutt.
So like this world then, basically.
Basically, yeah.
No, I mean this world. The one
Yeah.
we're in.
Yes, exactly.
That's obviously fantasy.
I make those chemtrails.
Watch out! They're always watching, man.
There's a great.
Always.
No, that's me that's watching because I make the chemtrails.
But who watches you if you're watching the chemtrails?
I know who watches me. Don't you worry about who's watching me.
I wish I had a beer.
Who's watching you?
Yeah, well, that's where it starts to get a little fuzzy.
Yeah.
But
There is a great YouTube video that people should Google. It's a lady sees a rainbow in her backyard sprinkler that I showed to you once. I was like, this is not natural.
This is not happening. What's in the water?
What are they doing?
Wow.
Rainbow in her sprinkler.